What is happening, y'all? It's me coming back at you again with another live stream vid. The first of the new year, that is. Welcome to 2022 to everyone. Seems to me that 2021 passed by pretty quickly. I don't know. Excuse me. That's just me. Um, so I just want to go ahead and kick this off with with a unique live stream to be to be lack of a better word, that is, and we're just gonna go over a few things. First things first, I'm gonna go over a little bit more on the Tyson Fury and the Dillian White split that has now been confirmed by the WBC. By the way, it is officially confirmed by them. The split is 80-20 in favor of the champion Tyson Fury. Now, here's what I'm gonna say about this. I know there's people out there who's crying and bitching and moaning about how this is unfair to Dillian White. He's getting screwed again. Yada, 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 this, that, and the third. Let's just be realistic here. Let's just come down to earth and let's just put your bias to the side for a moment. And let's just be impartial here. I think Dillian White fucked himself here. And I'm going to explain why. I think what he did wrong, as some other uploaders have mentioned this, is that when he registered the fact that he made $300,000 or 300,000 pounds, which that equates to roughly, I believe, about a little bit over $400,000 US dollars, I believe, roughly around there. I could be wrong. I have to go back to the currency conversion and map that out accordingly. But that right there was probably used against him. Now, maybe he didn't make that much, that actual amount. Maybe that's just something he registered. Is because, again, it's a possibility that he's trying to avoid paying hefty sanctioning fees for the Fury fight. I know someone brought that up. I don't know who it was. I forgot who it was. Some uploader, but yeah, it could be that. It's a possibility, but I'm just trying to understand really what's the actuality of him registering the fact that he made 300 pounds or $1,000 US dollars, whatever the case may be, for the Povetkin rematch. I don't understand the motive behind it. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But the fact is that that was probably used against him. And also given the fact that he was actually in court with the WBC while the fight was being mandated. So I just think, and another thing too, is that Dillian White was offered an agreement by Top Rank, by Fury's team, 25% split, $5 million minimum, plus you get upside on the pay-per-view revenue. And he declined it. No rematch clause, and he declined it. And the reason why he declined is part because he set the minimum threshold $10 million. That's what he wants. He wants $10 million plus a higher upside on the pay-per-view split, and he wants a one-sided rematch clause. And I'm sitting here thinking, wait, hold on here. You're a mandatory challenger. I don't care if you're the interim champion. But the fact is that you don't go out there and set those type of outrageous demands. You don't even have the buy rate to show that for it. I know people are going to defer to the UK buy rates that Dillian White pulls out. Yeah, undoubtedly, no doubt he is one of the biggest draws in the UK. But let's be realistic here. When's he ever cracked over 500,000 buys as the headliner? Yeah, don't give me the Joshua fight. That was Anthony Joshua being the headliner. He was the main attraction for that fight. But since then, when has Dillian White ever headlined a pay-per-view where he did over 500,000 buys? Not one. He hasn't done that. And yet, let alone, he hasn't earned nowhere near $10 million. I mean, look, the offer that was given by Top Rank was his highest payday. His highest payday in his career, and he still turned it down. I think the motivating drivers are that Eddie Hearn and Dillian White want that one-way rematch clause. I think this is what this is about. And me personally, I'm going to be honest here, rematch clauses need to be do away from mandatory fights. Period. They got to get rid of it because this is the reason why it's holding up unification bouts, is these damn rematch clauses. Now, again, I stated earlier that, hey, if you're in the position of Anthony Joshua, if you want to go ahead and use that right, then so be it. But you can't do it every single time when there's a mandatory fight. I think it has to be a point where the sanctioned body is going to have to say, you know what, going forward, and they have to do it collectively. Going forward, any mandatory fights, no rematch clauses involved. They should not be involved in mandatory fights. Voluntary fights, absolutely, all day. but not no fucking mandatory fights. Rematch clauses should not be inserted going forward. And this is one of the reasons why big unification bouts or other big fights are being being halted because of shit like this. If we're dealing to play hardball, and this is another thing too, is like he has this persona, this approach that it's my way, the highway. I'm not going to concede to any demands. I had this impression when him and Chisora was on camera, and he's talking about, I'm not giving you anything. I'm the A side. You're going to do exactly what I say. I'm like, what the fuck? Just paraphrasing there. And I shouldn't be cursing, but the fact is that this guy is just not willing to play. I'm not saying willing to play by the rules, but he's not willing to concede to anything. I don't understand where he could get this whole impression that I could do things my way, the highway. I just don't get it. Hey, shout out to Boxing Lounge. Boxing Lounge just says that White being an internet champion can get up to 45%. Yeah, that's true. Up to 45% is the key word there. There's a lot of channels going around. I'm going to bring this up because some people just don't. They lack a simple understanding behind this. They're going around saying and spreading this propaganda that Dillian White is entitled to a guaranteed 45% because he's the interim champion, according to the WBC bylaws. The bylaws and standard rules. No, that is not true. That is totally inaccurate. That's partially true, I should say. And the reason why I say it's partially true is because the key word, up to means it's not guaranteed. Up to means that under a certain discretionary rule, the champion can get 45%, but they cannot get 45% due to certain factors. That is perfectly laid out in the WBC's rule book. I will just bring it up right now. I don't know why people have a hard time understanding that. I just don't get it. Or they know that law is that bylaws and standards is there, but they just not going to mention that just to spread propaganda to create views and super chats, just to propagate Dillian White over this whole fiasco. And to be fair, and again, this is pretty much partly his own doing. Let's bring it up. Interim champion, WBC interim champion rules. All right, let's do this. We're gonna bring it up right now. All right. Hold on. Bring it up. Oops, this is the wrong one. Let's look at the mandatory rules. Okay. Okay, I think these are the rules that was updated back in 2009. Okay. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and do a share screen so we all can look at this here. What up, Amir? Happy New Year, guys. Albano Boxing says that ain't no way White beating Tyson. Once Tyson beats him, I see Tyson calling it a day, to be honest. Well, we're getting on Tyson Fury in a minute because there's more likely he's going to go back to the WWE and he's going to perform in the Saudi Arabia show in the next couple months. So I have a feeling who that opponent is. So we'll get to that in a minute. Let's see. So let's bring up the rules so that way we all have a simple understanding here on common sense. I hate to be condescending, but this is just what's pissing me off is as people just don't understand common sense. So we're going to do a share. I'm going to share my screen here. And we're going to do the entire screen. Here we go. All right. As you can see, here's the rule. I'm going to read section 2.12, division of proceeds of the purse of a purse offer. I'm going to highlight this so that way we can all see it together. All right. All right. All right. We'll forget about the last one. We'll figure that. We don't have to worry about 20.13. But it says here as follows. Division of proceeds in a purse offer. The net purse offer after deduction of the WBC certification fees shall be divided as follows. A, 70% of the for the champion, 30% for the challenger. Now, this is pertaining to mandatory fights. B, 50% to the contender in the case of vacant belts or elimination bouts. So in that case, it's 50-50, depending on that situation. C, 55% to the champion and 45% to the interim champion in an event of such a bout. However, D, I'm going to highlight D right here. That's the one we're going to focus on the most. D, notwithstanding the terms of subparagraphs A, B, and C above, the Board of Governors may, in its discretion and by a majority vote, modify the division of the purse offer proceeds between boxers and a purse offer in unusual or special cases, like the consideration of the outstanding marketing value of one of the boxers. The modifications of the split will be limited to 3 categories: 70-30, 60-40, and 55-45% of the champion and challenger, respectively, except in the most exceptional circumstances in which the split may be modified to 50-50. Now, that is the key word. This is the key bylaw, the key subparagraph D right here. This outlines and it defines the word up to, not guaranteed, up to. Now, I know the 80-20 is a question. Why is it 80-20 instead of 70-30? I believe that in actuality, it can go up to 30% for Dillian should he win the fight against Tyson Fury. I think that rule is in here. So the term is, basically is discretion. Discretion is the key word, which means it also means it's up to. So there is no guarantee that Dillian Whyte should get 45%, as all these other channels are making it out to be. That is false. It's not guaranteed. It's up to. Yeah, you may not like it because of the WBC has that discretionary rule, which they can do anything. I know you don't like it. I don't like it either. But the rules are the rules. I don't know why you guys keep going out there and spread this, the half truths, as I call it. There is no guarantee 45%. So let's knock that off, okay? Now, here's the thing. Since Tyson Fury is getting a huge 80% upside, huge 80% split, Dillian Whyte's getting 20%. Should this thing go to purse bid and Matchroom really wants that fight, then they will have to bid $50 million. $50 million. And the reason why I say that is because Dillian Whyte is asking for $10 million. If they want to meet that demand, that means Tyson Fury gets 40%. 40%. He gets $40 million, not including the upside, because he's going to get upside on top of that. He's going to get $40 million plus the pay-per-view upside, plus the ticketing revenue percentage, plus licensing fees. So I'm not sure the zone's going to willing to bid for that. I'm not really sure, and I really doubt that. I'll be honest with you. Is it a big fight in the UK? Absolutely. But is it worth $50 million? I really doubt that. I'll say minimum $30 million at best, probably 20 or 30 million, but not no $50 million. And at this point, it is a high probability that Dillian Whyte's going to pull out of this fight. That's the way I see it. At first, I thought it was Tyson Fury because the way he approached this fight before the idea of it being even being in reality, I should call it. I thought the Fury team wasn't looking forward to it because they may have many indications that they didn't want this fight, but it appears to be the other way around. And I also part of me believe that the reason why Matchroom was willing to push this thing to purse bid is because they probably know the Top Rank is not going to win it, so they're probably pushing the Fury to either vacate or get stripped. Now that Fury's not going to vacate, nor he's going to get stripped. So. Yeah, what up, Tony Reviews? Happy New Year, man. Yeah, I'm gonna put in the link so anybody can join the chat. Shout out to Hamed. So we gotta look, we gotta keep it down the middle, be fair here. Look, there's no guarantee he gets 45%. That's in the rules as I read them to you, and I highlighted it. There's no guarantee at all that he gets 45%. It's up to, not guaranteed. Do I think Dillian Whyte's worth more than 20%? Maybe. I think he should get at least 30. But look, the rules are the rules. And the fact that he logged in, that he made only $300,000 in his last fight, I think that would bit him in the foot. And also the fact that he's taking the WBC to court at the same time while the fight's being mandated, that doesn't really bode well for the WBC. I'm not taking sides here, but you got to look at it from another perspective. Is the WBC corrupt and they do some foolish shit? Yes, they do. But the fact is that I got to give credit when credit is due. They're trying to work with the guy for several years when he pulled out a few mandatory bouts where he could have gotten the shot at Wilder. He didn't want to take it. He decided to fight Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora in rematch. Derek Chisora in a rematch that nobody really didn't want to see, and then he fought Joseph Parker, a guy coming off a loss. And then, fought Povetkin and got knocked out in that fight, which it backfired on him. I mean, look, Dillian, part of the reason why he's in this mess in this situation he is right now is partly his own doing. Partly that. I'm not saying it's entirely his fault. Partly his own doing. Because, again, he has this persona that I got to do is things my way or the highway, no compromise, is 100% my way. And you can't live your life like that by thinking that you're going to get everything your way. You can't do that. I'm sorry. You can't. Let me catch up to the comments here, man. I got to catch up here. What up, Amir? Shout out to you. Happy New Year, guys. Up to normally means additional conditions. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. Pretty much. Hamed says, salute, Dan. I agree about White. He's asking for too much money. Yeah, let's be real. $10 million, he's not going to get that. That's not going to, I just don't see that happening at all. I'll be surprised if the Zone does bid for the fight, or anybody else does, by that matter. If anybody else bids for this fight and they're willing to pay Tyson Fury $40 million and Dillian White $10 million, oh boy. Who knows? Maybe the Saudis might swoop in there and enter our blind purse bid. We'll see. Or Daniel Kinahan. Who knows? But $40 million for Tyson Fury for a mandatory fight? Nah, man, no. No fucking way. Not at this magnitude. This fight's probably at least worth 20 to 30 million at best. Not no $50 million. No, that's just my opinion. I agree. Too many YouTube Matchroom fanboys uploaders are pushing an agenda. I will try to listen to you live later. Busy ATM. I hear you, man. I hear you. Look, I know some of those channels and they're good people, just like some of the LDBC channels. There's some good people there, but at the same time, both sides got to stop pushing this propaganda, man. It's just getting way too far here. I understand why they do it. I've expressed my concerns why they're doing it, but that's their business. But at the same time, it needs to be called out. Let's see. Yeah, they got till January 11th to negotiate. If it not, it goes to purse bids. Good luck to White if he wants $10 million. Yeah, good luck to Dillian White. And like I said, guys, don't be surprised if he pulls out of that fight. Now, don't be surprised if he hasn't done so already, because now Tyson Fury is talking about going to Saudi Arabia for a big event. We all know what that event is. WWE. WWE. All right, let me get to the comments before I get into that. The fight ain't worth 50, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. It isn't. That's just my opinion. It isn't. DAZN might want this fight if it's in America. Yeah, I mean, they're going to try to push hard for it in the UK, but $50 million? I mean, I'm not sure. I could be wrong here. Was the Joshua Klitschko fight the only fight that produced over $50 million of total revenue in the UK? I think that was the only fight. And their purses, like, I think Klitschko and Joshua got $10 million guaranteed plus upside. So, yeah. Let me see. What up, Percy? Tony Review, smash the like. Thanks, man. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. $50 million? Who do you think you kidnapped? Chelsea? Joe Host, man. You got the jokes, man. Shout out to Joe Host of the UK, man. Shout out to Joe Host. Always a good, always been a follower of mine. I really appreciate the support. What's the guarantee minimum for White? 15 or 20%? Well, the WBC set it at 20%. But that could be reneged. Top Rank was willing to give him higher than that. They were willing to give him 25%, which is a $5.5 million minimum, plus upside of the pay-per-view. That's what they were willing to give him, and he turned it down. Why? Because he wanted $10 million plus a higher upside on the pay-per-view and a rematch clause. I think that rematch clause is one of the biggest factors here. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, rematch clauses should have no business to be part of a mandatory fight. None, because there's too many of them. It's been used in mandatory fights where it's preventing many big fights from happening because of shit like this, because of those things. That's just my opinion. They need to do away rematch clauses in mandatory fights. Tony says that, hey, he made 2 million pounds in his last fight. The 300,000 came from the walk fight that he took on 2 week notice after being out of the ring for several months due to UCAT. Oh, okay. Yeah, hey, I didn't know that. I mean, if that's the case, man, yeah, if you could show me a link to that, I think, yeah, I'll take a look at it, man. DGO, Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year. Tony says that White also fought the zero gate in his last 2 fights because of COVID. Well, he did fight in Gibraltar. They actually had a gate there. It wasn't that many people. I think it was at least about 1,000. So he did fight in front of a crowd in his last fight, and that was in Gibraltar. Gibraltar is a UK territory island that's off the coast of Spain, I believe. Yeah, he fought there against Povetkin, and there was a little bit of a gate. There's only 1,000 though, but like I said though, yeah, I'll take a look at it. But for what has been confirmed is that 300,000 comes from that Povetkin fight. That's what the ramblings are, and Eddie Hearn hasn't denied that. So, yeah, if you got some information on that, Tony, I'll look at it, man. I could be wrong here. I'll be fair. I could be wrong, but if you got some information on that, I'll take a look at it. But yeah, it is fair to say that, yeah, part of the reason why his purse was affected because of the fact that Fury fought in front of a larger crowd and he's got a bigger purse because of that. I get it. But another thing to me, like I said earlier, is like part of me believes that maybe Dillian didn't really make 300,000 as he claimed he did. Maybe he logged it in just hoping that he could get he didn't have to pay a higher sanctioning fee. That's what someone mentioned, and I think that's a pretty good point. But if he didn't log in when he made the last time around, then maybe he would have gotten a bigger purse. But I think he was worried about paying the higher sanctioning fees. I think that's probably what he was worried about. I don't know. But the fact is that it didn't bode well for him, and it kind of shot himself in the foot. And also, given the fact that Bob Arum was going to give him a minimum 55.5 million plus the upside of pay-per-view, which is 25%, I believe. No rematch clause. So he was getting a bigger payday, way bigger than what he got in his previous fights, and he turned it down. So I don't know, man. I don't know if this is good business what he's doing. I really don't know. Sky might want to bid 50 million or close to it. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point because Adam Smith is really trying to stick it at Eddie Hearn because if Sky bids for that fight, oh boy. Oh boy. The shit's going to hit the fan there because Sky has actually been putting on some pretty good cards after the match have left him. So, and the Conor Brook fight, I know Eddie Hearn probably regretting not taking that fight, man. He had a chance to put that up, but he didn't want to put the money for it. And then Sky scooped it up, and look what happened at the end result of that. They sold out the tickets within less than, 3 minutes? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a good point. I think Sky could bid for it, but 50 million, maybe close to it. You're probably right, DGO, but 50 million, that is way too steep. Like I said, Joshua Klitschko made 50 million for their gate, but look at the purses. I mean, not the gate. I think total revenue I think it's a little bit over 50 million. But again, their purses was like the guarantee was like $10 million. So yeah, they could afford to do that. So whatnot. Man, Tony salute. I don't believe that Fury will ever fight in the UK again. Peggate. Yeah, part of that too is that if he goes back to the UK and applies for the license, guess what happens? The UK case will be reopened again, and that's the main reason why he voluntarily to vacate his license because of that. And the reason behind that is because there was further developments, whereas he paid off a bribe to clear him from the initial investigation. So since that came about, he gave up his license knowing that he was going to get fucking shafted. He knew he was going to have to pay a huge penalty for that, a heavy price for that. And so he decided to say, fuck it, I'm going to just give up my UK license. What's it to me anyway? I made more money outside the UK. I've increased my profile outside the UK. I'm starting to become somewhat of a global name. So I don't need the UK. That's what Fury's saying. So, yeah. Hamed says that Fury versus White is not a bigger fight than Fury versus Hay was in 2013 or Klitschko versus Joshua. Yeah, I mean that could be a good point. That could be a very good point there. So that rush hour line sounds like fraud. I mean, is it fraud to report those numbers? And one, looking from the outside in, yes, but does the WBC care? No, because they don't have a rule where they penalize you if you falsely report your last fight's purses. I don't see anything in the rule book suggesting that. But again, given the fact that you allegedly made a very, very low purse. I mean, 300,000 is not a low purse to a normal person. That's a big purse. That's big money. But if you allegedly made that amount, then in that case, you're only going to get 20% of the pot. And that's the problem. So from what I'm hearing, they're still fighting this out in arbitration, but I'm confused about that too as well, because if they're still fighting this out in arbitration, and yet the WBC has ruled on the purse split and they have until 2 weeks to come up to an agreement, I don't see how the arbitrator is getting involved. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's just so confusing how this thing is playing out. So, yeah. Smoke, what's up? Smoke says that Fury got 20 million in his last fight. So even if White made 2 million, that's only 10%. Good point. Good point. No one's pays pays to see Fury fight without a big name attached to him. Against Wiley, he only sold 18% of the tickets. That's after the first Wilder fight. Then he did 330,000 pay-per-view buys against Schwartz. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, you do need a dance partner, regardless of who you are. I mean, look, Oscar De La Hoya, I can name many of them. Floyd Mayweather, the Miguel Cottos, the Manny Pacquiaos. I can go on and on and on. Maybe Roy Jones to some extent, Bernard Hopkins. Look, Felix Trinidad, Sugar Ray Leonard, those guys. Look, if you're going to do a pay-per-view bout, if you're going to sell big at the gate and do, obviously sell big on the pay-per-view buys, you got to have a big dance partner. Canelo Alvarez too. I forgot to mention that. Canelo. You got to have a big dance partner. When they didn't have a dance partner, they either performed minimal at best or below expectations, where they didn't have that dance partner when they're fighting on pay-per-view. So that's a good point, Tony. I do agree with you on that. White did 335,000 buys against Rivas. He did? I thought he did 200,000. You could be right. Let me check. Joho says 50 million. Sky ain't that stupid. He said Sky ain't stupid. Oh man. The wild boar meat. Yeah. Fury and Hay never happened. Yeah, Boxing Lounge. I know that's what Hamed said about Fury and Hay. That is true. It never happened. But as far as the trajectory levels, how big that fight was and how much money it was going to make, I think what Hamed was referring to is that Fury White is not on that scale. That's what Hamed is referring to. So, yeah, and he lives in the UK, so he probably knows what the appeal and the interest looks like over there. So, yeah. Smoke, Wilder and Fury 2 and 3 both lost money. Yeah, they did. I mean, because they paid out their big purses. Even though the pay-per-views, looking from the outside in, they did okay, but they didn't do enough to where you gotta recoup the costs, particularly with the fighters' purses. So yeah, they lost money on those two pay-per-views, Fury 2 and 3. The first Wilder Fury fight made money, so obviously because their purses were pretty low, but they did well to recoup. So yeah, let me get you guys in. I know you Tony and Smoke, you guys probably want to chop it up, but anybody can join the stream. Let me see here. Actual facts, what's happening? Salute, man. Let's see. Boxing Lounge, Froch gross too. George was hustled more than minimum he was supposed to get. Yeah. Hey, Brotherhood, what's happening? Brotherhood says that can't White just go after Usyk? He act like the WBC is the only belt that exists. Well, you know what? It's a good thing you brought this up, man, because look, I hate to be shitting on Dillian White, but we gotta bring it up for what it is. This man has turned down many title opportunities, man, or one straight shot at the title against Joshua. Yeah, if he felt that it was on short notice and he didn't like the terms, he turned it down. Okay, I get it, but the fact is he turned down a direct shot at Anthony Joshua for 3 belts. He did that back in 2019. And not only that, he turned down 2 eliminating bouts against Luis Ortiz that would position him to get a shot at Deontay Wilder. He turned them down. And then when he was bitching and complaining about the fact that he was going to get a shot at the direct first mandatory spot against Wilder. Don Brazil came out and said, hey, man, let's settle this. I'll go ahead and fight you. Let's come to the table and making a deal. What did Dillian do? He didn't want to take up on Don Brazil's offer. He decided not to fight him. Then when the IBF comes up with him and Pulev, him and Hearn were so confident that they were going to win the purse bid. But guess what happened? They lost the purse bid, which means that the person who won the purse bid for the Pulev and White fight, they're going to stage in Bulgaria. They pulled out of the fight. White, that is. They pulled out because they didn't get their way in the purse bid. So this man has turned down 5 and possibly 6 at this point, the way he's looking at it, more than a handful of opportunities to get a shot at the title. And like I said, though, I'm not gonna have too much sympathy where he's playing the victim. Look, I know some of the things are not his fault, but some of those things are his own doing, man. And Dylan's got to own up to it, man. I'm sorry, man. If this happened to you maybe once or twice, I get it, but more than 5 times, man, what the fuck? You can't go around as if your things have to be your way, the highway. You can't do that. Actually, yeah. How did White turn down the Ortiz fight when he offered Ortiz the highest payday? It was Ortiz that turned it down. Look it up. Actually, that's not true. We did look it up. In fact, I know what Dillian White said in that interview with IFL, I believe. It was IFL or Fight Hub, one of those interviews. In that same interview, that same day, Eddie Hearn says that, no, we never reached out to Ortiz. We never offered him anything. So White was caught in a lie. He never offered him any money. That was a lie. Eddie Hearn said, no, we never offered him anything. In fact, even Ortiz's team said, yeah, he didn't offer us any money. We offered to go fight him in the UK. And he didn't want to get back to us. Yeah, so Dillian White was caught in a lie. He didn't offer him any money. Let's see here. The second fight was a huge payday. We just need to quit playing armchair accountants without having reliable sources, numbers like presumably the WBC has access to. Yeah, I mean, look, we're all pocket watching. I mean, it is what it is, man. And it is a botching. I know back in the day, we weren't doing all this pocket watching. I mean, I guess now that we all have access to so much information, thanks to the age of the internet, it is like it's hard to ignore. I have to admit that. It's very difficult to ignore that. So, yeah. White did turn down, Boxing Lounge says, White did turn down opportunities. They were past opportunities in his to turn down. He's earned his position similar. It sounds similar to a criminal that's trying to get a job. Yeah, look, I have to agree. Again, man, I really want to like the guy. He has fought some very good competition, but for him to go out and say that I'm being hard done to, man, come on, man. That's far from the truth for the most part. It is. I can't sweep this under the rug, man. I really can't. All right. Now, speaking of Tyson Fury, let's get to this one real quickly. Tyson Fury's come out and said that he's got a special event coming up in Saudi Arabia. I know some people were speculating, are you going to fight Usyk, or are you going to fight the winner of Usyk and Joshua so you can get the fight in Saudi Arabia? But he mentioned the dates March and April. And it appears from the looks of it that he is going back to WWE, because the WWE, they got their event tonight called Day One, which was I think it was formerly known as the New Year's Revolution back in the day. I could be wrong, but the WWE does have a Saudi Arabia schedule coming up show in 2022. I think it's going down in March or April. Yeah, so let me see what that schedule looks like. I mean, I'm looking at, shout out to Wrestle Talk. Let me take a look. A little bit of pro wrestling we're going to discuss here real quickly because it all pertains to Tyson Fury. So I think that event is Crown Jewel. Yeah, it's the Crown Jewel event. And I believe it's going down in March. And it's possible that he'll be wrestling Goldberg. And the reason why I bring up Goldberg's name, because Goldberg recently said that he has one more match left on his Legends contract and he's done. And honestly, Goldberg needs to retire. I mean, he did have a good outing against Bobby Lashley last year at the last Saudi Arabia event. I mean, that was a good match. That was like the best match I've seen Goldberg in a very, very, very long time. I mean, because in recent matches, I mean, he's been botching left and right. He's blown, he's blowing out his engine within the like 2 or 3 minutes of the match. I mean, that's due to old age, and he's got too much muscle on. Even for his old age, he's still big, man, and muscular. That's definitely going to drain your stamina. So, yeah, but he did redeem himself because after that first Bobby Lashley match at SummerSlam last year, it wasn't really a good match. In fact, one of those matches where he almost botched Bobby Lashley when he picked up Lashley from the top rope and not press slammed him, but threw him over, like a over the top rope slam. Lashley almost hit his head. So he almost could have killed the guy by doing that. But, the fact is, though, he did redeem himself in their Saudi Arabia clash, and he looked good. Him and Lashley put up a very good match in that pay-per-view. And to me, I think that was a very good match. That was probably the match of the night. But anyhow, Goldberg does have one last match on his Legends contract that's going to be in Saudi Arabia, and it could be against Tyson Fury. It could be against Tyson Fury from the looks of it. So, or if it isn't Tyson Fury and Goldberg, then it's Drew McIntyre, because I know they've been talking about having a match for a long time. So I'll be honest with you. I'll tune in to see Goldberg versus Tyson Fury. Let's be real. Goldberg is such a botch artist to the point that he might injure Tyson Fury, and that may take something out of his boxing career. So if Tyson Fury's wrestling Goldberg, he better be careful. He better be careful, because Goldberg is known to stiff a lot of guys. Let's not forget, he ended the career of my favorite wrestler of all time, Bret the Hitman Hart. He ended his career with a stiff kick to the head, and Bret hasn't been the same ever since. He had to retire because of that. So, yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. White can't play victim. I hear you. Yeah, exactly. Hey, the Brotherhood says, look, the last time I checked, White said he didn't want to fight an old man. I didn't hear Ortiz say anything like that. Well, that is true. He did say that. Again, he's coming out saying that I offered him, his biggest payday, which is far from the truth, because Eddie Hearn at the same day, when Dillian White said that, he came out and said, no, we never offered him anything. So, and I'm like, whoa, that's unusual to see a contradiction that happens in the same day. So yeah, and even Ortiz's team came out and said, yeah, this dude is lying. He never offered us anything. He never offers a deal to co-fight him. That's crazy. In fact, he called our bluff and said, okay, you fight me in England on the main card or the main event or the undercard, whatever the case may be. I think it was on the main card at the main event. Ortiz said, yeah, let's do it. And then next, White didn't want to take up the offer, didn't want to accept the challenge. So, I mean, it is what it is. But the fact is that the WBC ordered White and Ortiz to fight twice. They ordered that fight twice for the final eliminator, and White turned it down. He didn't want to partake in it. So, yeah. Fury's a fraud. He don't want the fight. Hey, what's up, man? I mean, at first I thought he didn't want the fight. I'll be honest with you, because the way he's approached it initially before the fight even got ordered or was being talked about after the third Wilder fight. But it looks like now the tables have turned, because it seems like Dillian and his team are like really pricing themselves out here. That's what it looks like to me. And given the fact that they didn't get their way with the purse split, and the fact that Dillian is asking for $10 million, that means that if they really want this thing to go to purse bid, as Matthew said, they really want to go to purse bid, then they will have to bid at least $50 million. I really can't see how anybody's going to bid for that much money, which means you're going to have to only pay Dillian White $10 million, but you got to pay Tyson Fury $40 million. Plus, he gets upside, which is the pay-per-view revenue, the ticket revenue, and a licensing fee. Oh my God. I mean, let's be truthful here. I think both sides are playing games. Maybe they have no intention of fighting each other. Who knows? I don't know, man. I just think it's kind of odd and ridiculous to me. And this is my opinion, that why a mandatory challenger, a guy who never won the world title, let alone ever won a British, Commonwealth, or European title. Actually, did he win a British Commonwealth title when he beat Ian Lewison? I could be wrong, but he's never won a European title, no, a world title, and yet here he is demanding $10 million. Oh my goodness, man! I don't know what is going on here. What is this world coming to? In fact, Bob Arum offered him $5.5 million plus an upside, no rematch clause. Great deal to me. Biggest 4 times he's ever gotten in his career, and he turns it down. He wants $10 million plus some rematch clause. That's fucking crazy, man. That's crazy. No rematch clauses should not be allowed in mandatory fights. I'm going to repeat myself. Mandatory fights, rematch clauses should have no involvement in mandatory fights. None. Goldberg, for his age, barely has any fat on him. Dude is in decent shape. Yeah, he is in good shape for an old guy, but again, all that bulging muscles on him at his age is going to really affect his endurance and speed, which is prevalent in it, which is shown in his prior matches, especially with the Undertaker. Ugh. Let's not talk about that one. That's a match that we all don't want to talk about. All I gotta say is, and I covered that too a couple years ago. All I gotta say is that match should have happened back in 03 and 04 when both men were in the prime in the company. So it is what it is. What else we got here? I don't think Fury ever wanted to fight. Yeah, I don't think he really wanted to fight either. It's just his promotions were trying to who's talking on his behalf. But he's probably like, I don't really want to fight, but if I have to do it, I'll do it. Just like how he approached the Third Wilder fight. He didn't want the fight, but he's like, fuck it. If I got to do it, I got to do it. So in this case, oh, man, look, at this point, no matter who's right and who's wrong here, I just don't, the fight's not going to happen. I'm going to stay to my prediction on it. I've said this in the beginning. This fight between White and Fury is not going to happen. That's the way it seems. That's the way it seems like to me. It's not going to happen. Aob says that Fury and Bob don't want to fight, and the WBC is supporting them. Hey, it's possible. Again, as I pointed out, the WBC has not been happy with White and Hearn, their behavior over the last 4 or 5 years now. Look, I get it. They want their position, they want their shot, but let's call it fair down. Let's call it down the middle here. The WBC has given Dillian White opportunities to get a shot at the title, and he's turned them down. And now we're in a very weird situation where he's got his mandatory shot, and he's still taking him to the court. I don't get why he's putting him in the arbitration, and yet he wants $10 million for the fucking fight. I just don't. He wants $10 million plus a rematch clause and pay-per-view upside. You got to be kidding me. You're a mandatory challenger who's never won a world title. Yeah, you can cite the pay-per-view buys in the UK. I get it, but has he ever cracked over 500,000? No, not even that. He hasn't. Joshua. I know we're going to talk about the Joshua fight, but Joshua was the main attraction for that fight. He was the headliner, not White. To be fair, White did contribute to that, so I guess you want to give him some credit there. But as an actual headliner, he hasn't even done 500,000. So, let alone $1 million. I don't know, man. Let me just get off White for now. That's just my take on this whole thing. He shot himself in the foot from the looks of it, and the Fury and White fight's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Ortiz and Martin. Let's talk about that one real quickly. Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin. Who do I got tonight? It's very good. It's a very interesting and entertaining high heavyweight card. I actually like it, but should it be pay-per-view? Nah. This shouldn't be a pay-per-view bout, but I'll still watch it. Let's see. If Luis Ortiz's age hasn't really caught up to him, then I expect him to win because I think he's more crafty. He's definitely more skilled. I think he's got more pop in his punches than Charles Martin. He knows how to place the shots together a lot better than Charles Martin. The thing about Charles Martin is that he's got a little bit quicker feet than Ortiz, but his technique, he's gotten a little better after the Joshua loss. I'll give Charles Martin that. And he is a little bit longer and rangier than Ortiz, so I wouldn't be surprised if Martin wins, but I expect Ortiz to win. I really do. Yep, it's pay-per-view, man. Joe Host, it is pay-per-view. Brotherhood says that White had a rematch clause for the Povetkin fight. Exactly, he did. He did. He did. And now he wants a rematch clause for this one, for the Fury fight, and that's not going to happen. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. And I've been critical of Fury and Top Rank in recent years, but I'll be honest here. I think they're in the right to say, hey, look, we're the A side here. You don't come here and tell us that you demand a rematch clause. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Okay? First of all, they're saying that no rematch clause should be allowed in mandatory fights, and I agree. They shouldn't be. So, yeah. White came into the Joshua fight with the win in the amateurs. Yeah, he did. He won up Joshua in the amateur. I saw that fight. In fact, the fight is still available on YouTube. You can look it up. Yeah, he pretty much bullied Joshua in that fight. He bullied him. And the urban legends that Dillian White was known to bully Joshua during their days in the training camps and in the early days and when they were training in the gyms. I mean, yeah, I mean they had their beefs and all, but Dillian was the one who came out the one be the bully, the aggressor. It was I think it was one time they got into a spat or an argument. The Dillian got so mad he decided to step out of the gym and he called Joshua out for a street fight outside the gym, and Joshua didn't want it. That's what the urban legend is. So yeah, but anyways, my point is that going into their amateur fight, you could tell Joshua was a little intimidated by Dillian White. He was. So yeah. Ortiz by KO. You think so, Brotherhood? Hey, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he KO Charles Martin, but to be fair, maybe it'd be somewhat surprising because despite Charles Martin's losses to Konaki and Josh, well, he did get KO by Joshua. Never mind. But let's be fair. I think Martin didn't really put much effort into that fight. I don't think he did. He saw that he was getting a big paycheck, and he's like gave up. He just pretty much sold his belt. That's all he did. And I'm not saying that he would have beaten Joshua, but I think if he was motivated like he is now, he would have given Joshua a lot more resistance. I'm not saying Joshua, he would have won the fight, but he would have gave him a lot more resistance, but he didn't do it. So it is what it is. And, it's funny, though, because many of the Joshua fans don't even bring up that Charles Martin fight. They know what's up, and they recognize real for what it is. Yeah, so let's talk about some other stuff here. Let's see. Floyd Mayweather training Anthony Joshua. I think Martin took a dive versus AJ, to be honest. Yeah, he did. I'm rarely to say, I really don't like to say that fighters are taking dives, but to me it was pretty clear. I mean, not saying Joshua hit him with a good shot. Joshua did hit him with a couple good shots to put him down, but it seems like Charles Martin he just didn't want to be in there. I mean, he just showed up just to get the check. That's all he wanted. He didn't really put much effort into it. It's like his performance somewhat, I'm not saying Ollie Harrison type of a performance where he threw a couple punches and that was it. It covered up, but he just did not want to be there. He just literally didn't want to fight. He just wanted to get his check and go home. And look what happened. Ever since after that Joshua fight, we haven't seen Charles Martin in the ring for almost more than a year after that fight. He didn't get back in the ring for more than a year after that fight, all because he was spending so much of his earnings on bullshit. I mean, then he realized that his money was drying up. He needed to get back in the ring. So it is what it is. He took like more than a year off after that fight. He didn't really get injured. I don't understand. I'm not gonna say that. It also implied to me that he took a dive. Joe says that Povetkin took a dive too, in my opinion, against White. You know what? Let me be fair here, Joe Host. I don't think the Povetkin took a dive. I think Povetkin was shot going into that fight. He was. You could tell. You look at his legs. I mean, at the beginning of the opening bell of that fight, his legs were already like shaky already. It was like gone from the beginning of the round. He didn't even had a punch. He even take a hard punch, and his legs were already gone at the opening bell. And it also could be to the fact that it was due to the fact that he was he was recovering from his COVID diagnosis, whatever, his COVID infection. So I just think that No, I don't think he took a dive. I just think that he was shocked going in. It's due to the fact that he had COVID coming into the White rematch. Again, that's not Dillian White's problem. I mean, the fight was pushed back due to the fact Povetkin had to recover, so they did give him the benefit of the doubt. But he did look like his legs were gone from the beginning of the fight. So, yeah, again, not Dillian White's fault. Dillian White did what he had to do. He took care of business, but yeah, he was definitely was shocked going into that fight. So I won't say it's a dive, but he just was shocked going in. Povetkin looked drugged to me. Nah, I don't know about that, Brotherhood. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I just think he was shot. I'll stop with my conspiracies. I don't want to ruin the show. Hey, it's all good, man. It's all good. It's all good. But let me go get into the Floyd Mayweather real quickly and training Anthony Joshua in Dubai. First things first, the reports are coming out that Floyd Mayweather just stopped by at the gym that Joshua was training at, doing his sessions, and that's Coach Anthony Chill Wilson's gym. And Anthony Chill Wilson is known in the DC area, and he currently resides in Dubai. He runs a gym there. So hey, shout out to Coach Wilson over there. And people are implying that that's Joshua's new trainer, or Floyd Mayweather has been added to the training camp. To me, I don't think that's the case. I just think that Joshua's just putting in some sessions just to stay in shape, because that's what he always does. He's always in the gym staying in shape because he likes to keep himself in top form condition. I mean top form shape. I'm not going to mention the word condition because obviously his condition is not that great, even though he's got that huge physique. But you can see that Floyd's in the background looking at Joshua, observing his technique and his punch placement, the way he he establishes his jab. Uh uh in the fight, yada yada. But is Floyd part of his camp? I don't think so. It's just Floyd just coming in trying to, I don't know, get some type of recognition. I mean, get some type of some type of recognition, not say recognition, being noticed, I guess, because he liked to be in front of the camera, but he likes to be the topic of the conversation. But I think that he was showing some Joshua some pointers here too, how to beat Usyk. But let's be fair here. Floyd did fight a lot of did fight some handful of southpaws in this time. He beat them, but they're not on a scale of Alexander Usyk. No way, no way. And I just think that Usyk is way too skilled for Joshua at this point. And I'm gonna be fair here. I saw Joshua on the bag, man. I mean, I've seen him in a couple of sessions too with Coach Chill Wilson. It seems like he's focused more on the body attack, which is a good thing. He's making some adjustments to approach the Usyk fight, but he's still upright and he's still robotic, man. And, that right there, and he's still moving back in a straight line. That's why he kept getting caught against Usyk, kept moving back in a straight line. Man, I'm gonna maintain my position on this. I don't think Josh. You said Brotherhood says I don't think Joshua gets enough credit for the things he did in the Usyk fight. He lost, but I don't think he got schooled. I agree to disagree there, man. I think he did win 3 rounds in my card, but Usyk took away the ability for Joshua to follow up on the success that he had in the 5th, the 6th, definitely the 6th, and the 8th round. He took away Joshua's opportunities to follow up because that's what Usyk does. You may catch him and then take him off his game a little bit in between rounds. But what the thing about Usyk is that he's very good at adapting very quickly. He's very good at taking away your best weapons very quickly in fights and adjusting to the point that you're going back to figure out how do I solve this puzzle against this guy. Because Usyk is a guy who's fast on his feet, definitely got quick combinations, definitely got great defense, and knows how to place his, how to judge his, how to create distance and place his shots from a good distance. This man is just too is that there's an urban legend that in sparring, I think Malik Scott said it best. I nicknamed this guy the ghost because you can't hit this guy. He's very difficult. You may be able to hit him, but after that, he's gonna take your best punch and come at you with like 4 or 5 different punches and take away from your element and take away your weapon. And that's what he did against Joshua. Now, to be fair, I know people are saying Joshua didn't do this, he didn't do that. Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair observation to make. But what Usyk doesn't get much credit for. This is just me, counterpunch, as you want to call it. Shout out to Kurt DeVille. uh, I just think that Usyk took away Joshua's best strengths, the strengths that he could not apply. How did he do that? The constant movement, the constant foot movement, the constant speed, head movement, punching in angles, blinding combinations, disguising his punches, throwing punches from angles that Joshua didn't see coming. It's just that all those traits right there, it's very difficult to set your feet and land your best punch, and Joshua just couldn't do it. And going into the rematch, you say you think he could win the rematch? Hey, fair enough, but I'll give Joshua a puncher's chance, but that's all I'm going to give him. Because at the same time, it's like the heavyweight division. Anything can happen. Hey, I said the same thing about Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder almost knocked out Tyson Fury, and I wanted Wilder to win. That's my boy. I wanted him to win. He was this close. If that round went it much longer, the fourth round, then Wilder would have won that fight. But it is what it is. Fury recovered. But again, this is the heavyweight division. There's a puncher's chance. But other than that, that's all I'm giving Joshua. And I honestly believe that if he were to beat Usyk, he's going to need at least another year or two to adapt to a new trainer, to a new style. Because 3-4 months, that as Eddie Hearn saying that they're projecting this rematch to take place in April, I just don't think Joshua's ready. I don't see he has enough time to prepare for that. Because right now, looking at his current training sessions, he still looks the same, man. I mean, yes, he's working on some body punches. I saw some grappling. Joshua was always known to be a grappler. He was doing those drills for the leading up to Povetkin fight, so that's nothing new. I'm not sure if that's going to work against Usyk, but hey, he could try it. He's got to try something new. I also want to add too that there is some several photos that surfaced recently that Joshua is bulking back up. He's adding more muscle to his muscle mass to his frame. And some people saying that's what he should have did. He should have came in around 250, something around there. And that would have beaten Usyk. I don't know why people are suggesting that, because Joshua was 240 when he fought Ruiz in the rematch. He was 238, 235, 240 when he fought Ruiz. He was 235 when he fought Ruiz in the rematch. He was 240 when he fought Pulev. And that didn't have much of an issue in those two fights. And Joshua was the boss in those two fights. But why all of a sudden now the weight is the issue? I don't get it. Honestly, I believe if he puts on another 10 pounds for the looks of it, if he puts on more weight, dude, I think that's detrimental. I think he's going to gas out very quickly. He's going to get stopped by Usyk if that's what he's going to do. I just don't think that's a good idea to put on that much weight. And the reason why I say that is because, one, Joshua is known not to have great conditioning. Two, he's known to not have great durability. Three, again, those two factors right there are the reason why he may be knocked out if he thinks he's going to do that. Put on more weight, knowing that you don't have great punch resistance, knowing that you don't have great cardio. So I don't see why putting on much weight is going to make a difference. He already has a 20-pound weight advantage over Usyk anyway. So what's the point? He's naturally the stronger man than the guy. What's the point of putting on more weight? I just don't think that makes any sense. So yeah, AJ needs to be skinny as possible. Yeah, I think 240 and 238 or 235, 240 is his optimal weight. I think that's the way he should be fighting at, because look at it. He actually got exhausted in the 10th and the 12th round. That's due to the fact that he kept his cardio helped him in the first 9 rounds of that fight. If he puts on 250, 260, he could have got stopped early against Usyk. I'm just being honest. He could have got stopped. But if he stays at the weight that he is right now, that he was in the Usyk fight, in the Ruiz rematch, and the Pulev fight, then he should be okay. I think he should stay at that weight. I think what he needs to do is stop worrying about getting hit. Take Deontay Wilder, for example. Deontay Wilder, people make fun of him of his technique. He doesn't have technique. He doesn't know how to box, yada, yada, yada. I get all that. But the fact is, Deontay Wilder, all the shots that he was taking against Tyson Fury in that third fight, what did Deontay Wilder do? He kept coming. He kept punching. And then when he landed his right, it dropped Fury, hurt him badly, and dropped him again in that fourth round. Almost knocked him out. Wilder kept punching. Even he was getting punched up in the next 6 to 10 rounds or 6 to 11 rounds. He kept punching back at Fury. He wasn't going to give up. And that was something that Anthony Joshua's got to have. He's got to have that mentality of not being afraid of getting hit, man. And I'm seeing this in the interviews, too, recently with Kukin Gassis when he had mentioned this, too. I'm not trying to go blind or lose my brain cells for the rest of my life. And when Joshua said that, that to me shows that, you know what, this man is trying to, he's worried about getting hit. He's afraid of it. I think somebody needs to tell him, look, man, this is why this is called the fight game, the hurt business. You're going to get hit. You got to accept the fact that you're willing to take the punch and come back forward, come back stronger. Even if you get hurt, you got to keep going. But I think after that Ruiz first fight, he's never recovered from that mentally. He never has. And let's be real, he hasn't recovered from that mentally. And I think going to this Usyk rematch is a mistake. I think he needs to step away from Usyk, let him go do what he wants to do with those 3 belts, and then he could come back stronger and then win the title back. That's what Lennox Lewis did after the McCall fight. I don't know why people suggesting that Joshua shouldn't do that. He's just as young as Lewis, although he's probably like 2 years younger than when Lewis got knocked out by McCall. Actually, like 3 years older than when Lewis got knocked out by McCall. But again, it was a blessing in disguise for Lennox Lewis, even though he wanted the rematch, even though he didn't get it. But when he had his new trainer, Emmanuel Stewart, when he had his fill-out fights, you could tell that there was like a confidence issue with Lewis when he fought Lionel Butler, when he fought Justin Fortune and Tommy Morrison. He was a little bit cautious. I mean, he was a little bit more cautious in Tommy Morrison's fight, but I think after the Tommy Morrison fight, in the Ray Mercer fight, he started to regain his confidence and he trusted his durability. So I think that's something Joshua is going to need. He needs to gotta trust his heart. Forget about worrying about your durability. Forget about worrying about your cardio. Trust your heart, bruh. Trust it. So if that makes any sense, but I don't know. I just think going into that Usyk rematch is a mistake. And to Boxing Lounge's point, I think Usyk's going to be much better in the rematch as well. Because to me, I didn't think he fought to the full of his ability. I'm just sorry to say that. Not taking anything away from AJ. I just think that Usyk could do much more than what he did in the first fight. He could. He's that capable of a fighter. He's just that damn good. So yeah, is he beatable? Absolutely. But it's gonna take it's gonna take something special to beat Alexander Usyk. It's gonna take a fighter, maybe Tyson Fury, who knows he's gonna get outpointed. He's gonna be out punched by a guy like Alexander Usyk. He's gonna be outboxed. He knows it. But he's going to have to weather that storm and keep coming forward and land some big shots against Usyk. Like, for example, he did with Cunningham. Now, to be fair, Cunningham was at the back end of his career. He was at the end of his career at that point. And Cunningham is not as talented as Alexander Usyk. Let's be real. He's not. Usyk should look better in the rematch. He got more tools, and he should be a little stronger, too. AJ needs to KO him early, inside at least 3 rounds. Yeah, that's what he's going to have to do, because if he doesn't get him out in less than 4 rounds, then Joshua's not going to win that fight. And I don't see him even coming close to KOing Usyk in 3 rounds. I'll be shocked if he does, but that's not going to happen. I'm just being honest. That is not going to happen. And again, if Joshua's going to win that fight, I'll give him a puncher's chance, but it's going to take an act of God for him to win that fight. And what do I mean by that? Not only a puncher's chance, but he's got to hope and pray that Usyk is somehow compromised when either he's coming off a COVID infection, or if he's not training properly like Ruiz did, coming in 30 pounds extra and then compromise his speed and his cardio. But this is not going to happen, because if you look at Usyk recently, he looks in top tip shape, still in great shape, still training. In fact, Usyk's not that type of guy that's going to keep releasing training videos. But he's still in the gym, believe it or not. He's still training. And he is always in shape. So this is not going to be an Andy Ruiz situation. I'm sorry. And I think Joshua Hearn knows that. So I know they're going for the rematch because they have, there's so much money on the line, and they're like, fuck it. Regardless of the result is, at least you tried. But I just don't think he's going to win that rematch. I think it's too soon for him to go back in there with Usyk. I just think he needs to step away and let Usyk go. That's just my opinion. And I'm gonna be consistent. I said the same thing about Deontay Wilder with Tyson Fury situation. I said the same thing. And the difference is, and I'll say this: when Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury third fight was announced for July of 2020, I thought that was a mistake. I thought Wilder should not have gone back in there with Fury based off the way he took that beating. I thought it was not going to be enough time for him to prepare. But given the fact that we had a COVID lockdown, and it took nearly 18 months to get that fight back on, that gave Wilder more time to prepare mentally and physically. It gave him more time to prepare. But again, it wasn't enough. He came up short. He almost won the fight, but it is what it is. All right. I'm gonna block music. I don't like spam comments. Sorry. All right. AJ should go to Crunk. Um, I think he should go outside the UK and train in the US because that's exactly what Lennox Lewis did. I think the problem with in this modern day and age is that you got big cash cow fighters like Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, whatnot. These guys don't want to leave their homes to go train outside of their homes. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. And to me, Anthony Joshua, yeah, he's going out training with all these sorts of these people, but it always seems to me that he's always going back to the UK. Why does he leave and go do a training camp at an American gym? It's like he doesn't want to do that. I know he did that once coming to the USA when he fought Andy Ruiz for the first fight, but that was it. But outside of that, he never goes outside the UK and train for a big fight. He doesn't do it. He's always staying at home. I know he's in Dubai. I get it, but Dubai is actually a little bit closer to the UK than anywhere else. He goes to Dubai all the time, so I don't think I should count that. But the fact that but same thing with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder never leaves Alabama to go to train outside of Alabama. He just likes to stay at home. To me, I think you need to go outside of your comfort zone and train, so so that way you're not distracted by other things. That's exactly what Usyk does. He goes out, he leaves home to train outside his comfort zone. That way he's not distracted. That's how I think Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder need to do. Train in a place where you're outside your comfort zone, where you're not distracted. I think that's what they need to do, in my opinion. Yeah, I knew that was a bot, Boxing Lounge. Yeah, that was definitely a botch. A bot. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, the random letters with a full stop in the middle, with a full stop in the middle of our bots. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is so true. That is so true. All right, let's see what else is going on here before I wrap this up. Oh, somebody asked me about the Michael Polite. I mean Michael Polite. Sorry, Michael Coffey and the Jonathan Rice fight, the rematch. Yeah, actually, that's a fight I'm looking forward to. I think Johnny Rice is going to win that one because I think he's technically much better than Mike Coffey because it's definitely was displayed in that first fight. And let's be fair, Johnny Rice was a very good technical fighter. He's always has been. But to me, is like whenever he showed up for fights, and he's always taking fights on short notices because he's known to be at this point he's a high level journeyman. But in those fights that he lost, he was actually put up a somewhat decent effort because he showed that he has good skill. But to me, I just felt that okay, he's a journeyman, he's not really trying to win. He's just there to try to put a guy over and collect a check. I always said that best too when he fought Efe Ajagba, and I told people this. I said, look, he could have beaten Ajagba if he put more effort into it, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it because he was just there to collect the check. And I say he always had the ability to beat Ajagba. I haven't said it, and look what happened when he beat Mike Coffey. Destroyed him. So it's definitely a rematch I'm looking forward to, and I expect Johnny Rice to win that one. I just think that the skill gap between the two is vast. It's vast. And I just don't see how Mike Coffey could win that fight. I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah, but Johnny Rice, I expect him to win that fight by stoppage again. And let's see what else we got here. Charles Martin's guaranteed a knockout. Let's see there. So the British Board of Boxing Control has suspended boxing events for this month of January, so things are being pushed back. All right. So I think for 1 month due to rise of COVID cases. And by the way, those cases are rising here where I'm at, and you can see why this New Year's Eve was very quiet because there aren't many people out because clubs can't run. And that and lack of alcohol can be served. Let's see. Oh, by the way, Deontay Wilder and Malik Scott got together in LA because Malik Scott is he runs a gym in LA. That's where he lives, where I'm from. So I'll go ahead and bring that up real quickly. Deontay Wilder, by the way, he's promoting not promoting, but he's telling people to go watch and buy the Luis Ortiz and Charles Martin fight. He calls Ortiz his brother, so we'll see if Ortiz could come through. So definitely see Deontay Wilder in good spirits. Speaking of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou wants to fight Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. And Francis Ngannou, actually, speaking of him, he has one fight left on his UFC contract. Uh, so we'll see what he wants to do after that. I think he's looking for a crossroads fight. He wants not crossroads fight for a crossover fight. So he definitely wants to get that big heavyweight paycheck. So that's why he's calling both Wilder and Fury out. Yeah. I'll give you a link. I'll post it right here, Tony. Go ahead. So let me bring up Deontay Wilder real quickly and bring up what he's on his post on Instagram and whatnot. And I'll share that with you guys. So here it is here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so let's take a look at Deontay Wilder's Instagram page. So here's the first one right here where he's trying to get people to go ahead and buy the pay-per-view fight between Ortiz and Martin. Like I said, it's a pretty good card. It's a very good heavyweight card. Frank Sanchez versus Christian Hammer. That should be a ugly fight. But I do expect Frank Sanchez to win it. I like Frank Sanchez. I think he's going to be a very good up-and-coming heavyweight. I really do. The way he schooled and beat up F.A. Ajaba, and let's be fair, I don't think Ajaba is going to be the same fighter after that loss. I'm going to be honest. That was a pretty much one-sided beatdown by Frank Sanchez. So let's see here. And then we have, I know Tony probably coming in shortly. So here, Malik Scott, he says here, quote, "I love you, bro. Through thick and thin, out with the old, let's bring in the new year. We lost some and gained some, humans that is. But there's nothing like sharing a new year with the day one." Okay. So that to me is an impression that Deontay Wilder does have intentions to get back in the ring. But against who? We don't know. It could be Trevor Bryan. I think that's a good comeback fight for him for the regular WBA title. I mean, I don't call that a real world title, but hey, I think it's a good comeback fight for him. I think that's a fight that should be made, although Trevor Bryan has been ordered by the WBA to defend it against Manuel Char, who is the quote-unquote champion in recess. Yeah, okay. Who's talking about that fight? I know Don King is the one who's supposed to be he promotes both men. He's supposed to be staging that fight, but we haven't really heard anything after that. So I'll be shocked if that fight even comes about. But more than likely, I think we're going to see. I think Deontay Wilder versus Trevor Bryan should take place. That's just my take. All right, I'm going to stop screen sharing, whatnot. So, yeah. What up, Tony?
Hey, give me 1 second.
What's up, man? What's up? I think you're kind of low. Let me see if this is my value. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay. All
right, I'm back. What's good? What's good?
Oh, what's good, bud? What's good? Happy New Year, by the way, man.
Happy New Year.
Yes, sir. Any resolutions?
I really haven't even thought about that.
Well, you know what, bro? I actually haven't really thought about it either, but I pretty much know what my resolution is to do better this year. And what I mean by that is just, I've pretty much had a good year anyway last year, but still, I could do much better. Let's put it that way. There's no such thing as not settling for better. You could do much better. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. Everybody could do better.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I know we've had our our agreement, disagreement on the Dillian White Tyson Fury situation. So let's just hash this out. So do you think this fight's gonna happen now?
I think Tyson Fury is terrified shitless of Dillian White. That's what I think. I think he hides in the corner with a blanket at night thinking about this fight.
Right. You know what? I may agree with you on this one. I'm not saying he's scared of him, but I think he hasn't really shown no interest before the fight got announced after he beat Wilder the third time. Because even if you look at it, he said himself that look, the third Wilder fight took a lot out of me. I'm not thinking about tough fights right now. He said that himself. And not only that, I think Tyson Fury is like, fuck it. If I have to go through the fight, I'll go through the fight. Like this is the same approach he had with the third Wilder fight. He didn't want to take that fight, but the court forced him to do it. So it's kind of like the situation. If I have to do it, I'll have to do it. You know what I mean? So, but again, man, I just think that look, I understand Dillian. I'm not saying that you shouldn't fight for what you're worth, but at the same time, you got to compromise, man. You just, this is just me. Take the fight, beat the man, get your 5.5 plus the upside, and then when you beat him, if he wants a rematch, you get to call the shots. You get to dictate the purse splits after that. You tell him, okay, if you're gonna play me like that, you're gonna take 20%, and I'm taking 80 when I beat you. If you want a
So,
rematch, you see what I'm
so
saying?
I look at this from many different angles. Okay,
Yeah,
so first and foremost,
yeah,
let's get to what Tyson Fury said, because you said what Tyson Fury said. The whole time Dillian White was the mandatory for Deontay Wilder, Fury was talking about it's a shame that Wilder doesn't give him a shot. If he was the
that's
champion,
true.
he'd give him a
That's
shot.
true.
Da, 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 da. But that energy changed up the minute he beat Wilder.
Right. That's true.
So then, if you look back, Fury was supposed to fight White originally for the WBC silver title.
Right.
Mauricio accepted it. That wasn't good enough. Then all of a sudden, once the fight was on for the silver title, he was like, no, 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 no. I need the diamond belt. Then
Right.
Mauricio goes, okay, we'll do it for the diamond belt. Then all of a sudden, Fury goes inactive. Then all of a sudden, he's gifted the rematch with Deontay Wilder to leapfrog in front of Dillian White for that fight.
Right. Well, you know, that's true though, because he did say that I'll fight, he said, look, I'll fight you because I don't think, what the WBC is doing to you is wrong. So I'll fight you. So as soon as the WBC's ordered the fight, what does Tyson Fury do? He's like, I'm not going to let a sanctioned body tell me what to do. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay.
Exactly, but it goes deeper than that. So there's some other things, and I always say, because I would be a hypocrite to go off of this, I always say this: sparring doesn't mean shit because you don't
Right.
know the circumstances of seeing guys knocked out. However, what I can say is this:
Yeah.
if a dude beats your ass constantly in sparring, it can make you think second about wanting to fight him. And I believe that is the case with Tyson Fury, because Dillian White has said on numerous times that he used to knock him out, and he even made him cry one time. And my problem is Fury has never refuted it. I watched the interviewer ask Fury about it. I don't remember who it was. I don't know if it was Boxing Social or somebody that was ringside at a fight. They asked him about White making these claims, and he just fully ignored the question and moved on from it.
Well, that's what he does. Whenever there's a question he doesn't like, he'll just like, next question, I'm not going to answer it. And me,
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm the interviewer asking the question, I'm like, look, do you have a problem with that question? Why don't you want to answer the question?
But here's the other thing that nobody's really thinking about. Tyson Fury, he has zero power in this situation. If Anthony Joshua beats Usyk in the rematch, and this is all contingent on if Joshua can beat Usyk, guess what? Fury has no power. He can't do undisputed without Hearn. And Hearn controls AJ and White. Hearn could force him to fight White or get stripped before he even allows AJ to do undisputed with him.
That's a very good point. I have to agree with you on that.
And my personal opinion is, if I was Eddie Hearn, why the fuck wouldn't I do that? Why would I do a 50-50 purse split between a fighter who's not mine, that's with Top Rank, and Frank Warren, who he doesn't even like? Whereas I could just force Dillian White on this dude and then have 100% in-house money.
There you go. That's a good point. That's an interesting point. I didn't really think about it, but again, that's to your point. That's on the condition if Joshua beats Usyk, which is a big uphill battle at this point. But if that happens, so Yeah, that's a good point. But all we do know is right now, I'm just saying though, do you think this fight's going to happen in March and April April as they slay it out to be? How do you see it at this point?
So, from my understanding of the
Uh-huh.
WBC rules, once a fight is ordered, the champion has to fight them. There
Right.
is no negotiations falling apart. If you don't fight your mandatory once it is ordered, you are vacating or you are stripped, period. There is no get out of free jail card. Now, I know Bob Arum said that Mauricio told him that they could fight whoever they want and they don't have to fight White because he's greedy. However, there's no statements from the WBC backing that up. There's no statements from Mauricio backing that up. The only thing that has said that is Bob Arum. That's all we have is his word.
Yeah, that's true. We haven't heard anything from Mauricio, so we got to wait and see. But until now, we have to go by what Bob Arum is saying. But then again, it can't get refuted, so we got to wait on that. But it seems to me at this point they're going to let Fury keep the belt, regardless of of the situation until there's a whole arbitration, if that's still going on, with the
But,
White gets resolved.
but here's the
So
thing. Here's the
yeah,
thing. Speaking on that, not to cut you off, my bad
no,
if I
this is all good, but it's all good.
everybody keeps saying that the arbitration is for a purse split. It's for a purse split. I don't believe it's for a purse split. I don't believe that at all. I believe the reason why the case is still in arbitration is because if the WBC tries to screw over Dillian White, he's got them legally to where he can sue them. So therefore, the case would remain open, contingent on if the fight actually happens or it doesn't happen. If the fight happens, then the arbitration doesn't need to be there.
Right.
There's no need for an arbitrator.
Right.
However, if they try to wiggle their way out and the WBC doesn't give Dillian White the belt, guess what? Now they're in arbitrations. Now they get sued.
Hmm. Interesting. But the thing is that they got 10 days as we speak right now to come up with an agreement. And let's be honest, that's not going to happen. I'll be surprised if they come up with an agreement because it's going to go to purse bid. But here's the thing, though: if Dillian White wants $10 million, that means that someone's going to have to bid $50 million for the fight.
The zone will do it. The zone will do it. And here's the thing: the zone's got more money than Top Rank.
Oh yeah, I know they got the money, but is it worth their while? Because you have to look at the risk factor, the cost risk factor here. Because I mentioned this earlier in the UK. Josh, the only fight in the UK that's made that much money over $50 million, I believe, was Joshua and Klitschko. That's the only fight. I think it grossed $66 million. Of course, obviously they made a profit because at the time their purses were $10 million each guaranteed. Joshua and Klitschko, but in this case, you would have to pay Tyson Fury $40 million and you have to pay Dillian White $10 million. Plus, you got to give them upside. Plus, you got to give them a licensing fee rights deal too. So, that's going to be in. I'm not. That's going to be a bit of a uphill battle if they think they're going to make their money back off that. That's going to be a
Wait,
tough.
wait. Who do they have to give rights to? Say that again.
Well, here's the thing: the split is 80-20, right? So Dillian White's minimum is $10 million. That's what he wants. If the zone says, "Okay, we can pay you $10 million," which means they got to give Tyson Fury $40 million because, if the purse bid is $50 million, that means if it's 80-20 split, then they have to give Tyson Fury $40 million, and they have to give they'll give it to Dillian White $10 million. That doesn't include the upside, which they will get on top of that.
Right, but from my understanding, that the purse split, the winner of the person who bids the highest is the one that decides what the splits are. They
Nah,
control the splits.
that's actually incorrect. The WBC set that split. The
No,
winner,
no. The WBC sets the guidelines to the splits, saying that an interim champion is entitled to or entitled up to 45%.
right?
So, in other words, I believe a mandatory is allowed 20%. That's what they're allowed. And an interim champion is allowed up to 45%. So, if Top Rank won the bid, right, they could
Right.
say, Dillian White, you're taking 20%. If he doesn't like it in the purse splits, then he gets out the fight and it doesn't happen. However, if Eddie Hearn and the zone win, then they can make it go 45-55. And there's nothing Fury can do about it but pull out.
So you're saying they could change it?
Because because I heard Eddie Hearn say the person who wins, I forget what fight it was for, but he said the person who wins the purse split controls the actual split of the money. Or the purse split, not
I
the purse split.
I think we have a disagreement there because I'm looking at the rule book. They says that the WBC will have to approve that by the Board of Governors decision by a majority vote under its discretion. So if they want to modify, they not saying you can't modify the purse split, you can do that, but that has to be approved by the WBC by a majority vote. So here's the way it works. They'll set the purse split. Whoever wins it, if they want to modify it, the WBC will have to approve that modification. So yeah, I do have the what you call document right here. I could show it to you. Let me just go ahead and bring it up real quickly.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand this because I heard what Eddie Hearn said about whoever outbids the other people controls the split, and they have to go by the guidelines.
Yeah, that's unusual. I never heard of that. I mean, I think what Aiden is probably referring to. This is probably where we're only this is only till I can only interpret.
But I don't understand. I don't understand that though. If how can it be said 80-20 if by their own rules it's 45% for an interim champion?
Well, that's up to. See, that's the thing. Now, I'll bring up the rule
No,
book.
no,
See if you
no,
get.
no, 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 no. It's not up to. Like it's 20% for a mandatory. It's 30. No, it's 20% for a voluntary, 30% for a mandatory, and 45% for an interim champion. That's what their guidelines state.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I'm gonna bring it up. I'll show you. Give me 1 second. I'll bring it up. So, all right. So let's look at this real quickly. I'm gonna try to ring at this. So here it is. So we're looking at the WBC bylaws and standards. You got code section 2.12, right? So let's go ahead and read this. I'm going to read it very quickly. So A, B, C, and D. So if you look at it, it says here division of the proceeds in the purse offer. The net purse offer after deduction of the WBC certification fees, which is sanctioning fees, shall be divided as follows: 70% for the champion, 20% for the 30% for the challenger. 50% to each contender in case of a vacant title or elimination bout, 55% to the champion, 45% to the ended champion in an event such a bout. However, D, this is the one we're going to look at. D says here, notwithstanding the terms of the subparagraphs A, B, and C, hold on, let me read it again. Notwithstanding the terms of subparagraphs A, B, and C above, the Board of Governors may, in its discretion and by majority vote, modify the division of the purses offer proceeds between the boxers and the purse offer in unusual or special cases, like the consideration of the outstanding marketing value of one of the boxers. The modifications will be limited to 3 categories: 70-30, 60-40, and 55-45 for the champion and challenger, respectively, except in most exceptional circumstances in which the split could be modified to 50-50.
So by that bylaw right there, by that guideline, 70-30 is the lowest. 30% is the lowest that they can give the white. And it has to be voted on by their rules.
Right. Now the question is, where's the other 20? Why are they getting a 20 from? Is it because of the purse that he logged in?
The 80-20 is coming from Frank Warren.
Right.
80-20 has only been stated, it has not been stated about, there are no statements about any splits by the WBC. All this shit is hearsay. It's from an interview that Frank Warren did with, I believe it was IFL TV.
Uh-huh.
Now, Frank Warren said that it was a 20-80 split and
Right.
that if Dillian White didn't want it, Tyson Fury was going to go on to fight but not defend his WBC title. It would be for the lineal and Ring
Right.
Magazine belt. However, Bob Arum comes out and says they offered him a 25-75 split. Both of those, by the rules that you just read, don't even make sense. And like I said, Mauricio nor the WBC have actually stated it's an 80-20. That's just coming from fans running wild with interviews with 2 people who promote Tyson Fury.
Well, actually, it came from an article. Hold on. It came from Phil McKenna. He's the one reported it. He's the same guy that reported that Deontay Wilder won his arbitration case against Tyson Fury.
Bring it up. Bring up the article.
I'll bring it up. Yeah,
And
he's the one that
see where he's getting. See who he quotes stating that it's an 80-20 split. That's
all
what I
right.
want to see.
Let's find out. Let's see. Yeah, he was the guy that broke that Wilder arbitration case too. And and then next, it was confirmed. Let's see. Stephen McKenna, Phil McKenna, WBC split, Tyson Fury, Deontay. Oh, hold on, I got it. WBC split. All right, Daily Star. Here we go. All right, so here it is. I'm going to bring it up right now. White's 34, Tyson Fury's 33. So both men are, well, definitely Dillian White's getting up in age. Let's see. Okay, so I'm looking at the article. I'm going to share it to you. It looks like there's nothing quoted. Voila.
So I'm looking at a quote right here, and this is
Okay.
where misinterpretation comes from people who run wild because Ayob said on the zone. So I went straight to the zone because that's who represents, Dillian White on a fight by fight contract.
Yeah.
Mauricio initially said, "We ordered the fight on Thursday." He began, "The consideration for the 80-20 split comes from the purse the fighters have earned in their recent fights. We
Right.
cannot discuss any further details whatsoever due to the proceedings," he continued.
Okay.
So right there, he never said that they ordered it. He said the consideration for comes from the fighters' most recent fights, but he's not saying definitively this is what we're ordering. This is what the split is for.
Okay. So when did he said that prior to this story break coming out? Correct.
What's the date on that article?
The article came out 2 days ago on the 30th of December.
This article came out December 31st, 2021, 10:54 a.m.
10:54 a.m.
Yeah.
Let me see what Mauricio Suleiman said. All right, let's see. Mauricio, and that's from the zone?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in your private chat.
Yeah, let me take a look at it. Well, it says here he confirmed it. It says here that he confirms that there is an 80-20 split.
No. Click it and read his exact words.
All right. Yeah,
He
WBC Mauricio Suleiman confirms the. Yeah, I'm reading the title. Let me read the whole thing.
Yeah, you get his quotes. Like the very first sentence tells you second sentence tells you he didn't confirm anything. He's considering.
Yeah, well, somebody need to tell the zone editor, whoever let this come out, saying he didn't. Well, if that's the case, let me read the whole thing. It will be entitled Tyson Fury will be entitled 80% of the purse. Decision went in Fury's favor as the two camps were deadlocked over the negotiations. Speaking to boxing scene, Mauricio Suleiman explained the decision. We ordered the fight on Thursday. The consideration of the split comes from the purses that are in the recent fights. Well, actually, no, he confirmed it right here when he said we considered that, and we ordered it and we considered it of the 80%. Yeah, he said the consideration comes from the purses fighters based off of the fighters they earn. We cannot discuss any further details whatsoever due to the proceedings as arbitration is going on. Unfortunately, we're in the process. We simply made the ruling today, and that's where we're at right now. So yeah, when he says ruling today, that means that he made the ruling on the first split.
No, the consideration for the 80-20 split comes from the person. So he said the consideration of the 80-20, why they're considering it. Then he also says, we cannot discuss any further details whatsoever due to the proceedings. He continued, the arbitrations are still ongoing, which means that this statement is telling you he hasn't ordered any split. He cannot discuss it.
Well, I don't know if this is a misinterpretation. I guess we're both disagreeing and agreeing on this, but it seems to me when he says the consideration comes from the fact that they're based off their earnings from the recent fights, he's kind of saying that, yeah, we did put the split in, but until then, we can't really go any further beyond that until this arbitration is resolved.
And if you can't say that that's what the split is because of the arbitrations, then that's not what the split is until it is actually ruled.
Well, here's the thing I find weird here is because the zone article says that he did confirm it. And now I guess the way it's wording is throwing everybody off, including you and me. You got a point. It could be right. I could be wrong, or I could be right. You could be wrong. I mean, it's throwing us off.
Like I said, regardless of the fact, even if he confirmed that it's 80-20, in the very next statement, he contradicts that because he's saying that he can't discuss it because proceedings are still going on, which means there's still a contention for that split.
Well, yeah. We all know that. There's still a contention there. Yeah, I never denied there wasn't. I've always said that, that they said that, but the arbitration is probably going on because of that. So that I've always said that.
My thing is this. My thing is
Yeah,
this. This fight, in my opinion, in the UK would be
uh-huh.
fucking huge.
I
It is
agree.
going to be possibly bigger than the Deontay Wilder fight. I can tell you there'll be more fans in the stadium seeing that fight than what saw in America. Now, will the tickets be priced this high? Will it generate as much gate money? I do not know, but I can guarantee you that they'll probably fill 60 to 80,000 people in an arena in the UK.
Yeah,
And
they could do
Tyson
that.
Fury, my,
Uh-huh.
my thing is Tyson Fury can do that with no other fighter. What this looks like to me is they're trying to cash out. They're trying to get this 80% because they don't truly feel like their fighter is going to win. So they're trying to maximize their cash out.
Hmm. Fair enough. It's also fair to say that Dillian's doing the same thing with the $10 million offer.
No, because if he was trying to cash out, he would be like, foot down 45%. I'm not budging.
Yeah, that's what he's doing now. He's asking for $10 million plus a upside on the pay-per-view, which is fair enough. You want to get the upside, that's cool. But he's also asking for a rematch clause, which, in my opinion, should have no business being involved in mandatory fights. I think that's the reason why many big fights are being blocked, or not saying being blocked, but being prevented because of these rematch clauses in these mandatory fights. So I think that's a little bit of a bridge too far for a mandatory to be asking for that. But I mean, you could be right. Fury could be asking for a cash out for based off his 80% demand, which he got for now. But
You're,
Dillian
you're,
White,
you're saying that Dillian White called for a rematch clause?
yeah, he
Like,
did. He asked for it.
when, and
Hey,
why?
Bob Arum said, yeah, that's what he asked for. He wanted a rematch clause, and we say, forget it. You're not getting a rematch clause.
Well, here's my question to that. Is Fury demanding a rematch clause?
Well, Bob Arum says that no, we're not asking for a rematch clause. We don't want that at all. Period. But then again, I'll be fair because this has been over a week now, and yet Hearn or Weiss has yet to refute that claim. But as it stands, it's been over a week. That's what Bob Aaron's saying. That hey, he asked for a rematch clause, and we said hell no, that's not going to happen.
So here's my thing. Here's my thing. And it comes back to the Caleb Plant Canelo thing, right?
Yeah.
There could be the possibility to where they want a rematch clause, and White said, okay, fine, I want one too. I don't know. I don't know what they talk about. But all I'm saying is if Tyson Fury's asking for a rematch clause, then wouldn't it make sense that so would Dillian White in the case he loses?
Well, that's possible, but like I said, though, according to Aaron, unless Eddie Hearn can refute that or Dillian White can refute that claim, they're saying that we never asked for one. He asked for one. And we said hell no.
I mean, I don't think Dillian White should get a rematch clause first and foremost. Like,
Okay.
I don't. He doesn't deserve a rematch. If he loses, he loses. He doesn't deserve to get another shot at a title he doesn't have.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Look, here's the thing. I'm not against rematch clauses. I'm okay with it if it's a voluntary fight or a unification bout. I'm okay with that right there. But if it keeps getting used for mandatory fights, and I got a huge problem with that, you know?
No. I'm 1,000% against it. If the challenger is asking for the rematch clause, like you can't be no fucking challenger asking for a rematch clause. Now, like you said, if it's between two champions, that's different. But Dillian White's not the WBC champion.
Right.
He's holding on to the belt, whereas if Fury is stripped or vacates, he becomes the champion, but it's not the full-fledged title.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I agree with that. Here's the thing, man. I mean, I would love to see this fight, but I'll maintain my position on this, like I said earlier, before this fight even got announced. I just don't think it's gonna happen. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Um,
Here's another thing. This,
uh-huh.
this is what I look at, and this is what drives me crazy, right? You had so many people who dislike Deontay Wilder. Me, I'm very neutral. I'm in the middle,
Right,
okay? Neutral.
right.
But you had so many people claiming that Deontay Wilder held up the heavyweight division. He's been holding it up for years. And here we go with Tyson Fury, right? He
Yeah,
doesn't want to defend his title in a contractual thing that he signed against Wilder. We
yep.
got held up. Now here we are again, getting held up and bogged down again because he doesn't want to fight as mandatory. This dude is held down the division worse than fucking Wilder ever did.
I agree. I can't disagree with that. I can't. The thing is too is like, look, I've been critical of Fury, and rightfully so because it's like, dude, you try to get out of a mandatory a mandated fight, He almost lost that fight too. He almost lost, believe it or not. But then again, and now it's always something with Tyson Fury. I don't know, man. Why is it always some controversy when it comes to these big fights with this guy? you know? Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's never. So this is where you get into semantics, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's never actually defended his title because against Klitschko, he went on his 3-year cocaine binge, right?
Yeah.
Now, Deontay Wilder, he did technically defend it, but I don't consider a rematch truly defending your title. Me, defending your title is fighting somebody new for the first time,
Right.
which he's never done.
Right. Right. Yeah, I fair enough. I get that. I get that. Wilder hasn't fought the best opposition as a champion, but to be fair to him, he has defended his belt. He started to step up after the Ortiz fight, uh, and so forth. So even though he's taken some punishment in those fights when he stepped up, but he did defend that belt. We got to give him that.
Yo, Dan, at least he was fighting. I don't
Yeah.
even care. At least he was fighting. This Fury's not even fucking fighting.
I hear you, dog. But look, man, I'm just looking at it both sides. I think that me personally, I just think that Dillian just need to. I understand he has a right to fight for what he believes in, but I just think at the same time, I think he just call his bluff, take the fight. Okay, I'm gonna take the fight. I'm gonna see what you do. If you vacate that belt, then you're a fucking coward. You know what I mean? So I think he should take it, but that's just my opinion. But I see Unrival come on here. What's up, Unrival?
Joe Sullivan.
What's up, man? You sound like you're in the hallway. Happy New Year, by the way, brother.
You can hear me?
I
Yeah.
can hear you. Yeah, it sound like you're echoing, but it's all good. It's all good, man. You're good. You're good. So what's going on, man? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I wished it to Tony last night. Everybody listening, Happy New Year. Yeah, fuck Mauricio Sullivan, man. That judgment is one of the worst judgments in history.
Yeah.
And I can explain why.
Go ahead.
All right. So this is based off of your last 3 fights, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's based off of your last 3 fights, what your worth is, if I'm not mistaken, Top Rank lost money on 2 of their last 3 fights with Tyson Fury.
Correct.
So that means that's not his fault.
Okay. Yeah. I hear you on that. Oh, yeah, he just popped out. He'll come back in.
Right.
Yeah. Ah, man. Now again, this whole, like you said, to your point, Tony, I agree though, man, for your most part, is that when it comes to Tyson Fury, it's always so controversial. Even though I think part of this one is not his fault, but then again, some of it is, because the way it's like every single time, it's like, why does it have to be some issue when it comes to you in these big fights? Always an issue, you know? Always an issue. Is either you don't want to take the fight, or you're trying to find some loopholes to get out of fights where you're legally obligated to. It's like, what the fuck, man?
I'm just telling you, stylistically, I've been saying it for years, and I need this fight to happen so I can collect this money from all these different people.
Yeah.
Dillian White's gonna knock him out. It's not gonna go 12 rounds. Tyson Fury is going to get sparked, like snoozing.
Yeah, you know what though? Let me just say this: he is going to be a knockout waiting to happen. I probably soon, because let's keep it real. Even though he did beat up Wilder in the 3rd fight, but he took a lot of damage in that fight too. So I think that 3rd Wilder fight slowed him down. I really think it did. It took something out of him. So now he's running back to the WWE. Yeah, he running back to the WWE, going to Saudi Arabia. I think he's gonna be wrestling Goldberg for what's been being what I heard. But anyways, but yeah, I think it's a knockout waiting to happen pretty soon. I mean, you can't be taking that many shots from Deontay Wilder and not expect to come back as if you're gonna be the same fighter. No, he's not the same fighter. Let's be real.
See, I'm not throwing that excuse out there. I'm not saying that Wilder chipped him away, because I don't know if that is the case or is not the case. I'm saying that even if Fury never fought Wilder, he would still get knocked the fuck out by Dillian White, because that bullshit, that jab grab Lennox Lewis Klitschko bullshit's not going to work on Dillian White. He's too big, too strong, and Tyson Fury is going to get his guts destroyed. Them love handles, they're going to get knocked loose if he tries to do that jab grab bullshit.
Hey, yo, Tony.
What's up?
Can I get a fuck Mauricio Sullivan?
Oh, yeah, it's big fuck Mauricio. And the fucking franchise belt.
Yeah, the abomination in boxing, the franchise belt, the Bridgerweight division, which nobody's really talking about right now. I mean, come on, Mauricio.
Hey yo, Dan, what's the under over on Tyson Fury being the WBC franchise champion before July?
You know what?
Well,
I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen. I think they're going to give him the franchise, and then Dillian's going to be elevated to the WBC championship status.
and
I see
become
that
the
happening.
world's fattest Devin Haney.
What's up?
And he'll become the world's fattest Devin Haney.
Pretty much. I know Mauricio going to try to degrade that title, say he is the Pride champion. You know what I mean? This shit is a fucking mess, man. I mean, look, again, I'm going to maintain my position based off what's happening right now. This fight is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Tyson Fury is going to go do his WWE engagement, and then he'll come back to the boxing ring and fight whoever he wants to fight. Dillian White, he'll have his WBC title status. He'll be fighting somebody. But we'll see, man. But the way things are looking, you got 10 days to come up with an agreement, which that's not going to happen. I'll be surprised if they come up to an agreement within 10 days. Even if it goes to a purse bid, that's going to be interesting to see what happens there after the January 11th deadline. We'll see. Even if it goes to purse bid, I just don't see. I see either one of these guys pulling out of the fight because Top Rank's coming out saying that we don't want this to go to purse bid. Then again, you got this 80-20 split. You got Matchroom say they want this to go to purse bid, but now the 80-20 things come about. Who's going to bid for? Who's going to bid that much money for a fight? That where you got to pay Dillian White like $10 million, then you got to give Tyson Fury $40 million.
Well, that would be if you were to pay them based off of what Dillian White asked for, being the 10 million, right?
Right.
But
Exactly.
I said asked for 10 million based off of 35%, right?
Right.
Which is a third. So that would mean that they were looking at it being valued at 30 million pounds. Top Rank said they'd give him 5 million based off of 25%, right?
Right.
So that would mean they value the fight at 20 million, which is why what Sullivan is talking about is complete bullshit. Talking 80-20. No, you can't say 80-20 and then say Tyson Fury's value is at 30 million if it's based off of his last 3 fights. That would mean that you have to base it off of what the product is worth, right?
Right.
So how much is this fight worth? In America, I don't know. In the UK, I think 30 million.
Nothing in America.
Yeah. And Top Rank would look to stage it in America, right?
Right.
I think it's kind of farcical. I think Solomon is just trying to keep the belt kind of like in around the United States rather than it being fought for in America without realizing that he's haunting the actual level of how much the fight is potentially worth. Because Matchroom, I think, would be willing to bid for at 30 million if it's 35% for White. I can see them doing that. I can't see them doing it if White's only getting 6 million.
Yeah. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I don't know. This is a crazy, wild conspiracy call, if you want to call it, but part of me believe this is all a ploy to get that Wilder Ford fight because that's what they've been talking about for a while now. I really do, man. This is fucking crazy. And me, I'm a Deontay Wilder fan. I'm gonna say this: Deontay Wilder don't deserve to go back into Tyson Fury. Okay, what he needs to do is fucking get 3 or 4 comeback fights, as you want to call it. He needs to prove himself to be worthy of a fourth Fury fight. That's what
Preach it.
I'm sorry.
Preach it. Sing it to the choir.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be mad with Tyson Fury's fat ass ducking the fight, getting stripped, and then Mauricio mandating Dillian White to fight Deontay Wilder for the fucking. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be for the title because White would already have the title, but he can mandate the fight, so Wilder would be right there fighting for the title again.
yeah.
I've got a different conspiracy theory.
What's up?
I can see, just hear me out.
Uh-huh.
We're in a situation where Fury and White, it's a big money fight, but it's not the biggest money fight possible, especially for Top Rank, considering this is Tyson Fury's last fight, right?
Right.
Joshua, they look at his next fight as potentially career killing, potentially,
Right.
in terms of revenue and mainstream. Last Chance Saloon, Fury versus AJ, and that works out well for Matchroom because one, they get that big payday. It works well for Top Rank because they get that big payday. And two, it really works well for Matchroom because then Dillian White can be elevated and they can do Dillian White versus Usyk for the 4 belts and Fury versus AJ for the linear.
That's a good idea. That's it. That's another possibility as well. Yeah, man. Yeah, there's many variables here, but the way I see it, again, I just don't see White and Fury for happening based off what's going on. And Aobs in the chat said you can't fight Wilder for your whole career. That's true. But hey, you know what? Let me just say this, and I'm not comparing the two, but there is some similarities here. Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield, even though Evander Holyfield had a much greater career than Riddick Bowe's in the fucking Hall of Fame because of the fact that based off his 3 fights with Holyfield. You know what I mean? So this is and he won 4 belts. Believe it or not, he won 4 belts before the WBO became a recognized belt. He did that.
Yes.
So this is almost so to me, I kind of equate Tyson Fury's career to Evander Holyfield. I mean, not Evander Holyfield, to Riddick Bowe. Yeah, because if you look at Riddick's career, he did fight. He avoided all the top heavyweights. He did. He avoided a handful of them. And yeah, he's still in the Hall of Fame based off the fact he fought Holyfield. So I can see the same thing for Tyson Fury. Not saying it's a great career, but to your point, Aobs, his whole career is what they're going to say he had a great career because he fought Wilder 3 times and Klitschko once. That's what
I will say this to Bowe's credit. He absolutely dominates Tyson Fury in top 10 opponents fought.
That is true. He did. He did.
Dominates him.
Yeah, he did. You got the Pinklet Thomas wins, the Tyrell Biggs. And you got what you call it? Did he fight? No, he never fought Bone Crusher Smith. You got Elijah Tillery, decent win. Michael Dokes, Herbie Hyde, good win.
You see what I mean now when you start racking that down?
Yeah,
like he does have a lot more top 10s. But to Fury's credit, yeah, like okay, so to Bowie has 2 Holyfield wins. Fury does have 2 wins over Deontay. I would rather have 2 wins over Holyfield than 2 wins over Deontay Wilder. Just on a close.
Yeah.
But Fury does have that Klitschko win, which is a very good win.
But my thing is with Riddick Bowe, after he got nut shot at all them times against Galata, both times got the DQ from Galata. You know what I'm saying? Do we really blame him for not fighting the best? Like, you get your nuts beat up like that, how much do you have left in the tank?
Well, you know, it's fair though. Riddick Bowe was a punching bag before that Galata fight. Let's be real. And
yeah, that was 96. Yeah, that was 96.
But before that, he was taking a lot of punishment from Tyrell Biggs, who was shot as a fucking, I'll say a shot as a grape, as you want to call it. And Tyrell Biggs was getting beat by the likes of Tyson and I think Bone Crusher Smith and whatnot. But other than that, Riddick Bowe knew his vulnerabilities. He knew it. He was not the most disciplined guy, always out of shape. Never listened to Eddie Futch. God rest his soul, Eddie Futch. This guy was just a big problem. He knew what his vulnerabilities are.
Imagine that. Imagine being one of the last proper fighters that Eddie Futch had, and you decide I'm not going to listen to him. Imagine.
Oh yeah, that right there is come on, and that's why I didn't say I hate Riddick Bowe. I couldn't stand the motherfucker. I really couldn't. That's why I was glad. Part of me was glad that what Galata did to him. I'm pretty glad about it because you deserved it. Because to me, Riddick Bowe was a dirty fighter before Galata got to him. Punching Holyfield in the back of the head. I still believe I was back.
Holyfield was a dirty ass fighter. Like, what are we talking about here?
Come on, Dan. You can't call him dirty and then be like punching Holyfield in the back of the head. Holyfield's just as dirty.
Wait. Are you referring to Mike Tyson fight? The original shot with the headbutts. Like, come on now.
Come on, Tony. Are you referring to the Holyfield, the Mike Tyson first fight?
No. Holyfield was dirty. Period. Dirty. Period.
With the headbutts against who? I see Rockman.
He's headbutted more than one fighter.
Who else?
His whole career, like, rewatch his fights. This dude headbutts. This dude with fake hooks and hit him with the end of his elbows. Like, the dude, he would hit people with his fucking forearms.
Mike Tyson wasn't doing that either.
He was, but bro. Look, I'm gonna be straightforward, right? Riddick Bowe, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, dirty cunts.
Well, look, I'm not saying they're all. Look, I'm not saying all fighters are going to fight, all clean. I'm not saying that. But Riddick Bowe was known for his dirty tactics, and he didn't give a fuck. He showed it in fights. He didn't care. That's what I'm
And
saying.
Evander wasn't known to lead with his head, and come on.
Ah, come on. When did he lead in his head? I mean, don't refer to that first Mike Tyson fight. That was Tyson that was leading.
Oh, he's smoking Bear Cooper.
Oh, really? Nah, I know about
What
that.
about against Larry? What about against Larry?
Okay, there was a little bit of that there. I'll give you that.
What about a little bit against George? Just a little bit, yeah?
No, not against
Oh,
George.
come on, man.
No.
Come on, man.
No,
He was using his forearm on George Foreman's neck. Come on.
Mark, real fast. On a side note, real fast for that comment that's highlighted right there by Big Boy Boxing.
Yeah.
Mark, who was it that Mauricio's dad almost lost the WBC because he got sued over a fighter, like they're doing White?
Who's Jose Suleiman?
Was that the Italian fella, Roccagiani?
Yeah, I think it was
I know they almost went bankrupt and almost went out of business.
That's got to be Roccagiani, or maybe even Witherspoon, possibly.
Or Tim
Yeah,
Witherspoon?
I don't remember. I just remember they got.
Wasn't there some bullshit with Tim back in the day?
Well, I know there was a dispute with him and Don King over their purses back in the day.
Oh no, yeah, that was it was with then it would be Roccagiani. Roccagiani, tell me.
No. It was another fighter where they weren't giving him his shot like he was supposed to get, and he ended up taking them for like damn near everything they were worth.
It's got to be Roccagiani.
Yeah, let me bring it up. Let me see. It was an Italian fighter. Let me see. Was it Roccagiani? Let's see. Yeah, it was Graciano Roccagiani.
Yeah, so I'm hoping the same shit happens again. If White doesn't get this fight, I hope he bankrupts the motherfuckers. I hope they're going from boxing. What they need to do is whoever gets undisputed. I hope it's AJ, Usyk, or Dillian White. I hope they get it. Fuck Fury at this point, right? And I hope they take the WBC belt, they throw it in the fucking trash can, and take that lesser belt that AJ had and make that the real belt.
The IBO. Hey, actually, the IBO's got some good rankings, believe it or not. They rank people pretty good there. Too bad it's not a recognized organization.
Well, Dan, the reason they ranked them so well over on the IBO, and hear me out and tell me if you disagree, is because they're able to rank the other champions because they're not recognized. The others can't.
That's true.
So they immediately have about a top 10 because they have the other champs.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, the WBC could do it too, unless they're on a certain condition. They rank their other champions. They've done it before, but but
generally they don't. Generally
they don't. Like I say, yeah, they don't, but they'll do it on a certain condition, on a special condition. So,
like Usyk isn't ranked with the WBC, so that takes their rankings down automatically. Fury's not ranked with the IBF, WBO, or the WBA, that takes their rankings down automatically.
That's true, but let's be honest. If Usyk wants to get ranked by the WBC, they will do it. That's if Usyk wants to be ranked.
Of course, and then they'll say, "Oh, based on your last few courses, you get 10%."
Oh yeah. But there's a catch, though. They say we'll rank you, but there's a catch. I hear you on that one. But yeah, let me just ask you guys. Let's since we're talking about AJ real quickly, I know you guys seen some recent training footage, or I would call it sessions in Dubai with Anthony Chill Wilson and Floyd Mayweather popping in one of those training sessions. What you guys' thoughts on that?
Mayweather is going to get AJ knocked the fuck out. The last guy that Mayweather trained was Tyrone Woodley, and he got knocked out by Jake Paul. Sleep mode. Yep. The last person I can think of before him that Mayweather was training was Devin Haney, and he damn near got knocked out by Linares in that same fucking fight Mayweather stepped in to train him.
Yeah.
Nah, man, I would never put a fighter near Mayweather.
All right, what do you think?
I think Floyd wants fighters to lose. So if I'm looking for anybody, I'm not getting Floyd. Like, no offense to Floyd, great boxing man, great boxing fighter, but let's be real here. No. Could you imagine? Imagine him. He's like, "Yo, you need to Philly shell against Usyk."
Mark, why you say that? Did you see the video of AJ doing the Philly shell?
Oh Lord, I saw that. Jesus Christ.
Like Mayweather had him doing the Philly shell.
Oh Jesus Christ! I saw that too, and I'm like,
it's not as bad as when Roy Jones had fucking Eubank doing it against Marcus Morris, and that fucking scared me.
Let me just say this. Well, look, at least Eubank is not a stiff standing upright when doing it. But Jesus Christ, with Joshua, he looked like he's a sitting target when doing it. I'm just keeping it real. But look, to your point, Tony, I'll be honest. I agree. I just don't see how Floyd Mayweather can get Joshua to adapt to a new style to be Usyk. Because if you're thinking about trying to outbox Usyk again, that didn't work the first time. What makes you think you could do it this time?
Well, my thing is
Look,
this. My honest opinion is this. Ever since Anthony Joshua left Tony Sims, he's been regressing. I have seen him get worse and worse fight after fight
yes.
after fight. And the thing about it is, if you want to know how good or bad Tony Sims is, just look at Conor Ben. The fucking 180 that dude's done.
Yeah. There's something behind that too. Since you brought up Tony Sims, I agree, because when he had Tony Sims in early in his career, he was actually looking much better. He had upper ladder movement. He was more fluid with his punches, so he looked a lot better.
Can we all agree though he was fighting a lot lower level of competition under Sims?
That is true. But what I'm getting is that back then, I think Mark, you could attest to this. There was a UK rule that, because here's the thing, Robert McCracken was AJ's amateur coach. And there's a rule back then, according to the British Board of Boxing Control, that an amateur coach is not allowed to train the same fighter in the pro ranks. I think that was the rule back then.
There was some situation like that. I don't know if that was the exact rule specifically. I think it was there needed to be a time period or something.
Oh, right. Yeah, you could be right. But to your point, though, because some people are expecting...
That's why Fraser Clark is down in Loughborough University, and he's training with the dude who trains Richard Riakporhe.
Right. Yeah. Good point. And the thing too, because people were saying, "Hey, look, Rob has always been AJ's trainer. It's just that he can't train him in in the pro ranks right now. Tony Sims is just there to do the fill in." But to Tony's point, it seemed to me it'd been better off he stood with Tony Sims rather than keep Rob around.
And my thing is this. Yes, I do agree with you, Mark, that he was fighting lower opposition when he was with Tony Sims. Was the Dillian White fight the last fight, or did he leave for the Dillian White fight? It was somewhere around that time he left Tony Sims.
I'm not too sure. I don't have... I'll be honest with you. I don't have an... I think he was with Rob before the Charles Martin fight, so I think it would have been around the Dillian fight.
Okay, yeah. So it was either that fight or right before that fight, like right after the White fight or right before the fight, he left Tony Sims. But and AJ almost got knocked out in that fight. But going past that, here's the thing about it. Whether it's low opposition or high opposition, at the end of the day, if Floyd Mayweather fought a high schooler, he's still going to look like Floyd Mayweather. Right. AJ is still going to look like AJ, but AJ looks nothing like he used to look.
Right.
No, I get you, and I get, he nearly got knocked up with White. He took a huge shot. He was hurt, right? Now, we know how far White's gone, etc., right? I'm just going to ask this one little question. Who was 3 fights before Dillian?
Before the Joshua fight?
Yeah. Joshua's 3 fights just before the fight with Dillian.
Was it Rafael Sabano Love?
I'm not sure. Check box rec. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just quizzing me. Let me check. All right, let me look it up.
Yeah, I think that'll tell you part of the reason why he probably got hurt. It was a step up for both of them, in my opinion. Massive step up.
Yeah, it was Rafael Sabano Love. Yeah, he fought. Yeah, it was him, and then after that, he fought Kevin Johnson and Gary Cornish before the Dillian White fights.
Right. So his 3 fights back to back were Cornish, Johnson, and Zambano. Then Dillian.
Right.
Wasn't the Cornish fight for the Commonwealth title?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, for the vacant Commonwealth.
Yeah, and then he went into the White fight with that title.
That's a huge step up, in my opinion. Even though, Dillian wasn't what he is today, Dillian White would have beat all 3 of those fools as well.
Well, yeah, and then on top of it, AJ avenged his loss from the amateurs against White.
Yeah, that's true. He did. As I mentioned earlier, there is a pass between those two, where
that was a really good fucking build up, dude. Really good build.
Yeah, the thing too, Dillian used to bully Joshua too. You could tell in that amateur fight that he was bullying him too. So, but not this time around. Dillian, that freezing. Yeah.
They did not like each other, dude.
They don't like each other, but yeah. That's true. Dillian don't like him, and AJ don't like him.
There's more of a respect today than there was then. But Dillian sold the fuck out of that fight, man.
Oh, he did.
He sold that fight. That was the day I was like, you know what, man? I barely know who you are. This might be just a promotion or whatever. But I was like, I think he's got a chance.
Yo, I like Dillian White because of all the shit talking he does. See, Eddie Hearn fucked up. He should have never brought AJ to Miami. He should have brought Dillian White over here and just did some press conferences because in America, shit talkers sell. They sell real good.
I agree right there. I did Dillian White would have been far off better here in the United States.
He would have.
I just mean that's my opinion. I think he would have, and I think
I don't know. I don't think Dillian would have been better off in the US than he would be in the UK because Dillian does do 16,000 seats at the O2. There's no guarantee he could do that in the US. There's no guarantee.
But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, what I'm saying, Mark, is if Dillian White, right, would have been brought over here early in his career, right, and the American market would have heard all the shit talking this dude does, he would be huge over here. He would be just as big, if not bigger, than Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, you could be right there because look at Prince Nassim. Yeah, he was a big draw in the UK, but when he came over to the States, what did he do? He sold out everywhere because of the fact that he's controversial. He talks a lot.
How many fights did he have in the US? 2?
No, he had I think he had 4, 3 or 4. Let me check.
Right.
Because I know one of them was Agui Sanchez, which was a brutal fight. Jesus Christ. Beat the crap out of Agui Sanchez. God rest his soul. Kevin Kelly was definitely his first fight, which he almost got knocked out in that fight. And then of course we had the Barrera fight. No, he had he had plenty of US fights. He had one against Kevin Kelly, Wayne McCullough, Cesar Soto, he had Agui Sanchez I mentioned, and Marco Antonio Barrera. That was his last fight here in the US. So he fought here
at the time, so he fought 4 draws in the US.
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah, Barrera was. You can say Nassim sold that. I think Barrera did because that was a very big Mexican crowd there that night. To be honest,
I kind of agree or disagree because Nassim was the one who sold that fight because he was dismissing Barrera as, "Oh, you're a lightweight compared to me. You know, you are not even on my level, brother. You're not." He was berating Barrera the whole leading up to that fight. You're not even my fucking level. Why am I wasting my time with you?
He got that ass whooped.
He got his ass whooped, man.
Yeah, he ain't never been the same after that fight. He got one fight back in the UK and retired after that.
He quit. I'm done.
He got humbled. He got fucking humbled against Barrera.
And not only that, like, have you seen him? He like gained like 800 pounds. Like,
yeah, man. Like,
well, he definitely can't do no flips off the ring rope anymore.
Prince Nassim essentially was such a small, skinny guy, and nowadays he's walking around looking like a bootleg DJ Khaled.
Who did Nassim say was gonna die in boxing if they didn't quit? Like they got beat up real bad, and he was like, "Boxing's not for them." Was it Daniel Dubois?
Chris Eubank.
It was Eubank. He said that about.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think it was after the George Groves fight, was it, or the Billy Joe?
Yeah, he said the words. Yeah, he said the words. I think he should quit right now. I don't want to see him get hurt anymore.
Yeah.
Boxing's not for him. He can't. He's not a boxer.
Yeah, he's not a boxer. Yeah.
That was hard.
Look. Prince Nassim, to be fair, he had a much better career than Eubank. He beat Tom Boo Boo Johnson. That was a great win.
Than Eubank Jr.?
No, not Eubank Jr. Prince Nassim. He beat Tom Boo Boo Jr., Steve Robinson. Those were very good wins. Agui Sanchez and Wilfredo Vasquez was a decent win. So I can't knock you. Yeah, I mean, I guess he has some ground to say that you shouldn't be fighting anymore. You know, but
of course he had a better career than like Eubank Jr., right? But like at the same point, there are a lot of people, like for example, Roy Jones is training Eubank Jr., so he doesn't think he should hang it up. I think Roy Jones is in a better place or has more of a right to say whether someone should retire. Maybe not. Roy didn't exactly make the best call on his own career, did he? But then again.
Go ahead.
Oh, by the way, Nassim was the headliner of the pay-per-view against Barrera. He was the headliner here in the United States. So just FYI.
I mean, my thing is, whenever Prince Nassim said that shit, I agreed with him. I thought Eubank would be a flop. And not because of Eubank, because if you look at him aesthetically, he looks like what you think a boxer would look like. He has very good natural attributes to be a boxer. However, it was his fucking dad who made him think that he was some type of like boxing god that could just walk through anything, do anything, And I think him leaving his dad was the best thing he could do for his career. But if he would have stayed with his dad, he would have just racked up losses, in my opinion.
Right. I
Like,
agree.
like you remember the one time whenever Eubanks Sr. got into the ring and he just looked at his son in the corner? Like they stared at each other the whole time, the whole minute.
That was funny as fuck. And who was it? It all was Ronnie. Oh, I can't remember the dude's last name, but he used to train Eubanks Senior himself. He was over there in the corner. Literally, he was meant to be the cut man, yeah, and he's just sponging Chris Eubanks Jr. down like just.
Well. Speaking of Chris Eubank, you guys know that his fight with Leon Williams has been postponed. So the fight was supposed to
Yet
happen
again.
So it's been pushed back. I'm not sure what the new date is, but the British basically is out of their control. The British Board of Boxing Control has issued an order that no fights, so no events should be allowed in this month due to rise of COVID cases. But they expect things to kind of slow down a bit next month. I'm not sure if Eubank and Woods be pushed back to next month, hopefully. So I'm actually looking forward to that particular fight. So yeah, but hey, quick rundown of tonight's card, the heavyweight card, Ortiz and Martin. So let's look at the matchups. First things first.
You're gonna get some predictions, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you guys' thoughts on it. Frank
Mm.
Sanchez versus Christian Hammer. That should be no brainer.
Man, let me tell you something. I am 16 years old in Cuban years. That's all I know. Like Frank Sanchez is good for what he is for now, but all the hype around him going to clear out the division. This dude is like 37 years old. He ain't got a lot of time to do it.
Right.
Whether he wins or not, to me, he's a non-factor at heavyweight division.
Well, I mean, I think he can be a player. I'm not saying he's a big puncher, but the dude can move very fast at his age. He's got very fast foot movement. He's got good hand speed. Not saying he's on the level of Alexander Usyk. No. But he's definitely got those basic fundamentals, but he's also got those specialized fundamentals as well. I mean, he could punch in angles that you can't see punches coming from. So that's the thing about Frank. What makes Frank Sanchez really special. So I'm not saying he's going to clean out, but he definitely will be a major player in my opinion. But
is this based off of his negative performance where he beat a bum?
Who? Which one? Ajaba?
Ajaba's crap. He can't box.
And you know what, Mark? Ajagba dropped his ass too, and they didn't count it.
True. I'll give you.
Well, that's the only success that FA had in that fight.
I'm just going to say this. Iago Kaladze did more damage to Ajagba than Frank Sanchez.
Nah, I disagree with that, man. I disagree with that. I think
you don't. I don't care if you disagree.
I'm just saying. Nah, I disagree with that, but I just think that Frank Sanchez beat him up systematically. FA. I like FA, but I knew that when that fight got announced, that stylistic matchup, I knew that was going to be bad for FA. I really knew that was going to be a bad matchup. But I'm just being honest. I knew he was going to lose that fight. I just thought that was good because if you look at FA in his career, I followed him in the amateurs. He struggles against movers and boxers. He struggles against.
By the way,
yeah,
I wanted to. Have you guys heard of the Cuban algorithm?
Never heard of it. Let's break it down.
So I came up with a theory. So essentially, what I believe is fair to do is when you see a Cuban, whatever their age is, if you add the two numbers together and add it on. But if the numbers add up to less than 5, you multiply them. So if it's like if it's 224, you say you add 6 years on, or you can multiply the 2 and the 4, and then you get the real age, which is 26 plus 8.
Oh, so that's how it works.
Right. So, like for example, Frank Sanchez, he's labeled at what age?
37.
No, what's his labeled age?
40.
He's either 27 or 29. I don't remember.
29.
Right. So let's say he's 27, right?
Right.
What you would do is you would add 27 plus 14. 2 times 7. Giving you 41, which is the age he looks.
He's 29, so you would do 2 times 9?
No, because that's too much. I do 2 plus 9 in that case.
Okay,
11.
So 11 plus 29.
Which is 40, which sounds about right. 40, 41.
which is exactly how he looks, 40.
Yeah, so that's the Cuban algorithm. For example, Luis Ortiz is meant to be 42. We do 4 plus 2 onto that, which is 6. On top of that, 42. 48 is real age.
Right. Yeah. Well, okay. Never heard of that algorithm, but it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Because then you're able to find the age they truly look.
Right. Because Ortiz definitely look like he's close to 50, man. Ain't no damn goddamn way he's 42 years old. No fucking way. No fucking way. But yeah, I mean it's definitely an interesting bout. But the fight that I'm kind of really looking forward to is the rematch between Johnny Rice and Mike Coffey. I was picking Johnny Rice to win that one because Mike Coffey is too bait. I mean, he just doesn't have the skill set. I'm just being honest. He doesn't have it. I'm not saying it's always about skills when it comes to heavyweights, but Johnny Rice picked him apart easily in that first fight. Easily. So
Johnny Rice's lead hand is too good for him.
Yeah.
Too good. He's too educated. Look, people don't understand. Like these journeymen, some of them, they're actually good fighters. Johnny Rice knows how to maintain distance, knows how to use his jab, and most importantly, he knows how to throw a right hand off of the jab.
Right.
Johnny Rice comes in square, walking in straight thin lines, looking to hook off with you. If a dude's going to maintain distance and he can hit you, he's going to fuck you up.
Yeah, and I mentioned this too. I always said that Johnny Rice was a good fighter. I mean, like I said though, based off his journeyman status, he wasn't in his prior fights. He wasn't really trying to win them. But as I told people, I was like, look, if he really tried hard, he could actually beat most of these some of these top heavyweights. He could do it. You know, I know he could do it, but like I said, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, did Michael Coffey start professional boxing at like 31, 30 years old?
Oh, he did? Damn.
He's old as shit. He's like 35, 36 years old.
He just
No, because Michael Coffey, you need to use the Cuban algorithm for Michael Coffey.
Oh shit!
Damn, 30 years old. Oh, that's way, way, way too late. Oh goodness.
Yeah. Like I believe his age doing age is 35 or 36, and I think he started around like 30, 31 in the pros. So like, I mean, you can't, like the problem with Cubans are they stay amateur for so fucking long. It's just like buddy who beat Keyshawn Davis, who got the gold.
Andy Cruz?
Yeah,
Cruz. He's still in the amateurs.
Yeah, like Guillermo Rigondeaux stayed there for so long, and he started to go turn pro like it is, quote unquote, mid-30s or something like that.
Same thing. I mean, you could even look at Lomachenko. Like, truthfully, he stayed in the amateurs way too fucking long.
Yeah,
look at the heavyweight, Julio Cesar La Cruz. He's still in the amateurs. Dan, you remember La Cruz from years ago.
Oh,
he's still going. He's still going.
I don't know why, man, but goddamn, he's still going to the amateurs.
He just won Olympic gold at fucking heavy.
But the one thing about this fight card we can say is that the best boxer of all time is fighting Gerald Washington. He is the reason why Luis Ortiz is the boogeyman. So we can say that, you know, the measuring stick is fighting tonight. Yeah. Because if you beat him, you're the boogeyman, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know about that, but Charles Martin does have a good chance of winning tonight. But
I want him to win like a god.
But hey, I'm picking Ortiz to win it because I think he's a little bit more craftier, but only if his age doesn't really show up tonight. That's one thing I'm looking. That's a factor I'm looking closely at. But hey, shout out to Mr. Boxing Today in the chat. I know he's the king of heavyweight boxing. Mr. Boxing Today, man, you got to start going back to uploads, bro. We missed them. We need to get those heavyweight breakdowns, brother. We really do. Scrapbook, long time no here. Shout out to Scrapbook Boxing, man. Hey, if anybody don't know anything about Scrapbook Boxing, check out his page, check out his content, man. If you want to know anything about history, Scrapbook breaks it down to a T.
Best historian on YouTube.
Yeah, best historian. I agree. Yeah, I like that picture of Henry Armstrong, but go ahead. I'm sorry, Henry Armstrong, but
yo, Dan, have you seen my picture though?
Yeah, which one? This one right here?
Yeah, you need to full screen me, bro.
Yeah, let me see that one.
You need to look at this.
Let me try to full screen it. Usyk. I didn't even reckon. Man, you couldn't even tell from far away, but all right.
Yeah, Usyk walking on the moon, looking over us mere mortals.
I'm gonna say this, and I said this, and a lot of people get mad at me. If Usyk clears out the heavyweight division, he's better than Holyfield, in my opinion.
You're probably right.
And the only reason why I say that is Holyfield, even though he's a 5-time heavyweight champion, you have to lose 4 times to get that 5th title. And Holyfield couldn't clear out the division without losing. So if Usyk can go on to be undefeated while clearing out the who's who, there's nobody better than him coming from cruiserweight.
Right. But you know the thing they're gonna the only sticky point they're gonna throw back is that okay, who did he fight compared to Holyfield when he fought Foreman, when he fought Holmes, when he fought Tyson, when he fought Lewis, and he fought Michael Moore, those guys. Who did Usyk beat that was better than them? That's what they're gonna. That's the sticky point they're gonna keep bringing up.
The problem that I have, and it's just like we could go back. The guys today are so much fucking bigger on average than they've ever been. Like really, towards the end of Klitschko's reign is when you just see the super heavyweights really come in.
Right.
I don't know how well. Like as much as I like Mike Tyson, right? I don't know how good Mike Tyson would do against a 6'9", 280-pound fighter. I don't know how good he would do against a Dillian White, Anthony. I don't know. Like, yes, it's possible he could knock him out. He could, but I don't know because the guys that he fought were significantly lighter than what they are on average today. I'm not even talking about on the big end. On average, they're significantly smaller.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you know that's a good point, but you do also have to take into account is that back then, training regimens didn't really rely too much on technology back then, as opposed to now. Because today you have various training methods like as far as technology is concerned, it's so advanced to the point that it'll help you pack on weight at a certain rate. As opposed to back in yesteryear.
Nutrition, everything is better now. I got you,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, Tyson was, some people say 5'10", 5'11", arguably somewhere between 5'10" to 5'11", at 220 pounds. You're not going to pack, I think he was like 235 at his biggest. There's no room to pack on more weight on that frame. Like,
that's true.
I mean, he's as big as he's going to be to where if he gets any bigger, it's just going to be to his detriment. You know what I mean? You don't want to get so bulky you can't move.
Well,
Can I say something controversial? Because Dan will hate me saying this.
All right, go ahead.
All these great names that you named, Holyfield fought against and beat, right? Anthony Joshua beats all of those except Lennox. When you start listing off, and you can give me all the shit you want, George and Larry, they were old.
Yeah, and they still knocked out younger guys. But go ahead.
No.
Come on. They did.
I'm a Larry fan, bro. Come on. No. I'm not even an A. I don't really like AJ at all. AJ beats that Larry. He beats that George. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, if he could take Larry Holmes's straight right hand and that jab, then okay. But we know AJ ain't got that durability. I mean, hell, Ray Mercer was taking all them damn shots. He kept coming. Can AJ do that?
Durability. Lennox don't have the durability either. The only thing about Lennox was because he was considered the big man of his era at 6'5". AJ's bigger than him. He outweighs him. Well, it depends on which AJ shows up. If the new AJ at 240 pounds, he's smaller than Lewis. If the old vintage AJ that stays on the weight shows up, he's bigger. The thing about Lewis was he was so good with his jab that he could hide his chin. But we've seen what happens when that chin gets touched. What happens if AJ lands on Lewis?
Well, hey,
I can guarantee you, AJ hits a hell of a lot harder than I seen Rockman.
Okay, well, I see what you're saying, but okay, we saw what Lennox Lewis did against Vitaly in his prime, right? When Lennox was at the end of his career.
Get his ass whooped?
Yeah, he beat his ass too in the process, did he not? Did he bust up Vitaly? Did he bust him up?
Wait. We saw Lennox get his ass whooped in that
fight. Yeah, I got you, but did he also bust up Vitaly too? Look at his face at the end of that fight.
He got a cut. That's all he did. He caused a cut.
By a punch, though, right?
I don't know if it was.
That's literally the definition of being busted.
Yeah, he got
is when you get bust open.
I
He
don't, I
bust
don't
him
know.
open.
By
I
punch,
don't,
and then
I
he also
don't know
got
if it
busted
was a
open.
legit punch because I know the punch that they said there was a headbutt right around that time. So I don't know if it was a legit punch that landed. What I do know is they saved Lennox Lewis from getting knocked the fuck out by going to the scorecards. That's what I know.
Well, let me just say this. It was a legit punch because when Lennox Lewis was getting beat up, I think it was the second round. He got beat up pretty badly by Vitali. Well, Lewis came back in that third round. He started rushing at Vitali. He caught him with a good straight right cross, and that busted up Vitali real good. And the camera replay showed it that he did hit him with a punch. And not only cut him above that eye, he also cut him above underneath his eye as well too, and that caused Vitali to like kind of not saying go blind, but he was weakening after the punishment he was taking after taking those shots. So
do this.
uh-huh.
Pull up in the background, go to the cut, go to where you see him bleeding, right?
Okay.
Then stand back, and I guarantee you're going to see their heads clash.
All right, well, let's bring it up right now. Let's bring it up right now. I'm gonna
and I could be wrong. I could be crazy. I could be remembering wrong, but I remember their heads clashed, and it was very soon after that they said a punch caused it. But
Look at that. I'm bringing up the receipts.
I'm gonna bring it up. Hey, you could be right. Hey, Tony, you could be right. You could be right. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but we're gonna bring it up right now.
What a fucking fight that is, and what a disappointment we never got a rematch.
Oh, because Lewis knew he'd get beat up. He ran. He ducked out like Tyson Fury.
Yeah, I'm gonna share it.
Don't play it. Don't play it. Mute it. You don't want
to. All right, leave it.
Yeah,
all right, I'll leave it
though. No type of strike. I don't want your channel.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you can show like the clip, like small clips of it, but don't play the audio.
All right. Okay. I got you. I see that Mark got out of here. I don't know what happened, but he'll probably come back.
May be back. He came back.
All right. Cool enough. But hey, I know it's a popular opinion. Hey, Mark is entitled to his opinion. I'm not saying AJ wouldn't beat all those guys. Couldn't beat all those guys. He could beat some of those guys. I think he beat Shannon Briggs. I think he beat who else? Henry Akawande. I think he beat him.
I don't know about Lewis. I don't know. Because
Lewis.
When you get another big man that he can't do the Emmanuel Stewart jab, grab bullshit, I don't know if he does as well.
Yeah. But yeah, look.
Lewis proves my point. Lewis proves my point that I was saying. Lewis was the big man of the era. Like, that was the big man.
Right.
Now Lewis is small.
Yeah. Yeah, he's small compared to those guys. So what, he's 6'3", 6'4"?
No, Lewis 6'5".
Well, 6'5". Okay, yeah, 6'5". Yeah, but, I mean, the biggest heavyweights back then, the tallest they were ever been was like 6'2", 6'3". Foreman was 6'3". He was considered a very big man in the Muhammad Ali era. You know what I mean? So yeah, he was considered a very big man. And then Ken Norton was like 6'2", 6'1".
Well, think about this.
Pretty big.
Think about this. Usyk, who's over there on the moon looking down at us mortals, he's 6'4".
Yeah.
And that's a cruiserweight.
Yeah, 220. And that's a pretty big man.
I think it's funny that they try to say 6'3", but when he was standing properly upright against AJ, he was not smaller. He was not. He maybe an inch or two, but no, dude. He at times from the back he looked just as big, if not bigger.
Yeah, those times when you saw when he squared up against Tyson Fury, he didn't look that small compared to Fury. He did.
He's a large man. Like that dude. Like, yes, he's probably 20 pounds lighter than Joseph Parker. He's not smaller than Joseph Parker. Not overall.
Right. But you know what Usyk did? Oh shit, we lost Mark again. But you know what Usyk did, and what AJ did the opposite of? Usyk put on weight. AJ took it off.
Yeah, look, this is where we have this discussion about the weight. I mean, here's the thing. I know why AJ came at 240 because he needed to keep up with Usyk's pace, and I think that's the best thing you can do. Obviously, you can't outbox him. That's not going to happen. But at the same time, if you're going to fight at Usyk's pace, you're going to have to apply your pressure on him, and accept the fact that you're going to get hit, but you got to apply the pressure. And AJ just couldn't do that.
Dan, I love that you brought that up. Why he took the weight off, right? Yeah. So people like to say that AJ got exhausted. I kill everybody with this. So do you agree with like a big, muscular, strong AJ gets exhausted?
Yeah, he does. I'm gonna tell you.
So name the fight that he got exhausted in.
It was the Klitschko fight. He got exhausted.
Stop. We're gonna do it fight by fight. So Klitschko, right?
Yeah.
What was the result of that fight?
He stopped Klitschko.
Okay, go to the next one.
Carlos Takam, he got exhausted.
What was the result of that fight?
He stopped Takam, but controversial, but it is what it is.
Right, go to the next one.
Then let's see. I think Joseph Parker, he trimmed down just slightly a little bit. He did. He came down from 260 for the 256 to 245. So he looked a little better condition wise in that fight.
Okay. Good. I'm glad that you brought that up. So he slimmed down for Parker, right?
Yeah.
What was the result of that fight?
He won by decision.
And he didn't even get a knockdown, right?
No, he didn't.
Okay, now let's move on. What's the next fight that AJ looked the tire in?
It was the I think it was the not the Povetkin fight. Povetkin fight, he looked better conditioned. It was the Ruiz fight, the first one, definitely. He tired. Even in like the second and third round, he started to fatigue, even though he got the knockdown.
He started to tire on his way to the fucking ring.
Yeah, he was tired, man.
He looked knackered when he entered that ring, bro.
AJ lost that fight because he ran into a shot, not because he was tired.
Well,
no, that's not what we're saying. He did look tired.
But this was my point, right?
Yeah.
On every fight that he mentioned that AJ got tired in, excluding Ruiz, right? AJ, the result of the fight was he got the knockout. And the one fight that he mentioned where AJ slimmed down, he didn't even knock the guy down in that fight against Joseph Parker.
Well, you know what? That's a fair point, but these guys are not Alexander Usyk. Let's take that into account. Usyk, this is what Usyk does to you. This is his best strength. He uses your weaknesses against you. He tires you mentally by moving around a lot. And not only that he's moving around, he gives you that upper body movement. He keeps punching you too at the same time. Or to the point that you can't figure him out. You can't set yourself up.
Check this out. Why did Chisora look better against Usyk than AJ did?
I'll tell you why. Because Chisora knew that he was going to get hit, so he kept coming at him and applied the pressure. He showed the durability that he could do that. AJ doesn't fight that style.
But what's the big factor here that you're missing?
Oh, well, he used his strengths.
His strength and his size.
Right. And durability. You got to use durability.
But he imposed his size and strength on him because Usyk was small next to him in that ring.
Right.
So my point is this. When you're a power guy like AJ, you don't take your power away, especially fighting a much smaller man. You impose your strength and your will on top of him till you break him.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. Why is this an issue now, given the fact that Joshua weighed 240 in the Ruiz rematch and the Pulev rematch, where there was no issue?
So check this out, and Mark can attest to this because I've said it multiple times. I thought he looked worse in the rematch against Ruiz, and I thought he looked horrible in the Pulev fight. I thought. Let me explain.
He has been saying this for a long time.
Okay, I get that, but I just disagree that he looked horrible.
Those two fights are why I concluded and broke down why Usyk would beat his ass.
Okay,
so check this out. When AJ landed his first clean shot on Andy Ruiz in that first fight, what happened to Andy Ruiz?
He went down.
He sat down like a sack of fucking potatoes, and AJ made a tactical error, which I believe because he was in America, he was trying to compete with Wilder's knockout over Brazil. He was trying to be more impressive, got sloppy, got caught, and that's why he lost. Okay? Now, in the rematch, did he hurt Ruiz one time?
A couple times he did.
No, I'm sorry. I have to
disagree. It depends what you mean by hurt. I think that early straight right hand where he busted open his eye and shook Andy a little, I think that hurt him.
Yeah, that hurt Ruiz.
I watched Ruiz several times put his hands down to his fucking knees and try to wave AJ in and walk towards him and take shots, trying to bait AJ in. Just take shots. I didn't even see AJ knock the sweat off of Ruiz's head in that. And the thing about it is, AJ is supposed to be this dominating puncher, but he had a punching bag that he was hitting at will and couldn't put a guy down that he put down with the first clean shot in the first fight. Now, you go to the Pulev fight, right? We know AJ, when he lands the uppercut, is bad news for you. There was a time when AJ landed like 4 or 5 fucking uppercuts on Pulev, and Pulev just kept walking towards him like he hadn't even been hit.
Okay. Yeah. So to your point is that when you lose a lot of muscle mass, you're sacrificing your power. I get that. But there's also a caveat behind that too, because when you put on a lot of muscle, again, I know we just talked about this. You're sacrificing your stamina. That's always been his issue. It's his conditioning, his stamina.
But here's my question:
Yeah.
How is his stamina an issue if every match you mentioned he knocked the guy out?
Yeah, but again, these guys are not Alexander Usyk. I'm just saying, this is a special type of fighter we're dealing with right now. The reason why he was able to get through those fights because they weren't able to push him and pressure him like Usyk will be able to do.
Look, Usyk did what I thought he was going to do against a small, weak AJ. He did exactly what I thought he was going to do. But that doesn't mean Usyk's going to be able to do that to a Dillian White. It doesn't mean he's going to be able to do that to a Tyson Fury. Hell, I don't even know if Usyk could beat a Deontay Wilder, to be honest with you.
Well, that's fair enough. Fair enough, because their styles make fights. Right. Good point.
Not just styles make fights.
Wow.
We don't know how good. I hope Mark comes back because
He'll come back.
He'll
Go ahead, man.
tell me if he disagrees because he won't hold his tongue. But we
Yeah, I
don't know
know.
how good or how bad Usyk is going to be at heavyweight fighting the other elites. We don't know. He looked good against AJ, but my point is this. AJ, to me, is a diminished fighter. At 240 pounds, really 237 is what he weighed. Because whenever he got on the scale at 240, he was in sweatpants, had headphones on, and other shit going on, right? So realistically, he was probably 237.
Right.
The dude didn't look like he can knock a gnat out the air. Like all that power, all that strength. My point is this. You can't turn a turtle into a sprinter.
Right.
But what you can do is work on the turtle's defense so something can't puncture it or it gets tired trying to break through the shell. Then the turtle can win once they're exhausted. You have to work on what you're good on.
Right.
AJ is not an Ali type fighter. He'll never be that. No matter how long you make him, he could come in 210 pounds and he's still going to move similar to how he moves at 250.
That's true.
Now, his endurance, I disagree. I can't agree with him getting tired if he's stopping the guys. Well, it doesn't matter if you're fucking tired if you're stopping them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Good point. Yeah, he was still tired, but he still stopped him. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's just that. But like I said, though, I do agree with your points. I do not totally disagree with them. But just my only thing is that, to your point with Usyk, yes, every style he's going to have to approach every fight differently. Not every fight is going to be the same as an AJ fight where somebody's going to try to outbox him, which is not going to happen. But the thing about Usyk, what he doesn't get enough credit for, is that he knows what your vulnerabilities are. He adapts very quickly in fights. When you get him in trouble, he knows exactly right away what to do after that to take away your best weapon, to take away your momentum. That's what he does in fights. He's done that to every single opponent. He did that to Gassiev. When Gassiev had momentum in that fight, when Gassiev hurt him badly in the final of the WBSS, right, at cruiserweight. He did that to Chisora. Yes, Chisora had some success early on, but then next he started to figure Chisora out, and he used his relentless pressure to fatigue him mentally. So that's what he used against Chisora, and also guys like Tony Bellew. I agree. I think Tony Bellew is a more better creative fighter creatively. And I'm saying he's a better fighter overall, but creative fighter than Anthony Joshua. But he fatigued Bellew. He got him mentally drained.
He did defeat Bellew, but what did Bellew do before he fought Usyk?
The only best opponent in my view he beat is Lulango Makabu. I think that's the best opponent.
No. That was at cruiserweight. Right. What did Bellew do? Where did he go before he fought Usyk?
He was at light heavyweight. He beat Nathan Clever.
No. That's early. He fought at heavyweight against David Haye twice.
Oh, okay. You say before that. Okay, yeah, David Haye, yeah.
Yeah. Right before he fought Usyk, he went to heavyweight. Where did he fight Usyk at?
Cruiserweight.
And what happens when you take off weight?
You get a point. Interesting point. Yeah, you got a point there. It does. It's kind of like Antonio Tarver. He went from heavyweight, fought when he felt rocky, went all the way down to light heavyweight and fought Hopkins. And we saw what happened there. Same thing Roy Jones when he fought, what's the name? John Ruiz. They went back down to light heavyweight and fought Tarver. So, yeah.
So it wasn't at heavyweight. He went back to cruiserweight. So that could be a lot to do with why he tired so bad. I'm not saying that Bellew could have beat Usyk. I'm just saying that it's a contributing factor that's not good.
Right. It's a contributing factor. I could agree with that. But like I said, to my point, Usyk knows how to play to your he uses your best strengths as your weaknesses. That's what he does.
So
He's been doing this for years. He's been doing this since the amateurs. I'm sorry?
Let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
And I know this is going to be a ridiculous comparison, but I'm just trying to get to a point.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever boxed before?
Have I boxed before? Yes, I
Yeah.
boxed the amateurs, but only had a couple fights. And that was it.
Okay, just a couple of fights. That's fine. And even if you had none, I'm just trying to make a point. So it's irrelevant what your experience is. But you've had limited experience in the amateurs, right?
Right.
Now, do you know what a silver gloves champion is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, silver gloves champions, especially at 12 years old, are normally pretty skilled, right?
Yeah.
What do you think would happen to a 12-year-old silver gloves champion if you got in the boxing ring with them?
Right now,
Yeah, right now, you just run up on a 12-year-old.
they probably outpoint me.
Get out of here. You know you're gonna knock that little 12-year-old the fuck out.
I know what you mean. If it was their rules, maybe they'll have an advantage. But if this is a street fight or anything different, yeah, I'm gonna run up on them.
Well, even in boxing, you're gonna be able to absorb anything they can throw at you and just walk through them, and they're not gonna be able to take the damage you're gonna be able to inflict.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So what would you say that you're technically better than a silver gloves fighter?
I would say that, yeah. I would say that despite the fact they have vast experience, but sometimes it ain't all about the experience because sometimes the experience can be detrimental because of the fact with the experience that you have, you've taken a lot of damage along that way. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
no,
you
no,
go
no. What I'm saying is like maybe technical wasn't the best. Would you say that silver gloves is more skilled than you,
a
like a
silver glove
champion?
champion. Silver gloves, depends. It varies, but you could say that to an
Okay,
extent.
cool. So even if they're more skilled than you, why would you beat them? Because of your sheer strength and size. And that's my point I'm trying to get to.
Oh yeah,
Strength
my
and
reach too.
size
Yeah,
can be a huge factor, especially if you're trained on how to use it. That's what AJ needs. He needs strength and size. He's got to run this dude over.
yeah. He's got to figure out a way to do it. But
But
again,
you can't use strength and size if you take all your strength and size away.
that's true. And let me just say this: I'm not going to use Usyk as an example. I'm gonna use a lot of previous fighters as a precursor because he isn't the only guy to come up and weight and do it at heavyweight. I mean, we've had many fighters in the past do it. We've had Barbados Joe Wilcott, Sammy Langford, one of the greatest fighters of all time. You had Ezra Charles, my favorite fighter of all time. All come from middleweight up to heavyweight, exactly what they did to these heavyweights. Here's the thing I would say though. This is what these little guys do, man. They always come up from the heavyweights and they beat these big guys. You know how they do it? Because they take them to an element, to a world they never been, where they have to fight a guy who's constantly moving, who's giving you all these upper lateral head movement, giving you the speed, the endurance. They're throwing at you, punching in different angles. These big guys are not used to that. And Joshua just not used to it. That's why part of the reason why he lost to Usyk. So I just think that yes, I agree. The only way you could beat a little guy, you have to use your size and you pose your will against the little guy. You're not gonna outbox that little guy. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna
Well,
happen.
I
Not
don't
gonna happen.
think it's apples to apples comparison when people use throwback fighters because the heavyweights of yesterday, like fucking Rocky Marciano, who they consider one of the best because he went undefeated, right?
Right.
49-0 at heavyweight.
Right.
The dude was only 180 something pounds.
Yeah. Well, Ezra Charles was 175 or 80 when he
Right,
competed at
right.
heavyweight.
But that's my point. Like them moving up to heavyweight is not like a guy moving up to heavyweight today to where they're 260 plus.
Well, okay, fair enough. But let's lose this comparison here. When Ezra Charles fought Joe Lewis was like 220, I believe,
I, I
221,
thought
and
Joe
Ezra
Lewis
was 190,
I
and
thought
Ezra beat
Joe
him.
Lewis at his biggest was only like 205.
Oh, I thought it was 215. I thought he was way the
You could be right. You could be right. Let's look up Joe Lewis. I mean, BoxRec tells you what they weigh.
true
But
because when he fought Ezra Charles, Ezra was like barely he was like 180 when he fought Joe Lewis and beat him for the world title.
so 214. So you were closer to me. You're right.
Yeah,
214.
yeah, and
Practically 215.
right, and Ezra was like around 180 when he fought him. So you could kind of use that variable because yeah, to your point, the heavyweights back then they were not overly sized back then. But if you compare apples and oranges in a way, the smaller weights were much more way less than they did. Like the middleweights was like around 150 back then, like 152, 153. You know what I mean? So, and that today's standards, that's like almost what welterweight. So yeah, but my point is that you make some valid points, man. To beat a little guy, you gotta impose your size and will and your strength. You have to do it. You cannot outbox the guy. That's not gonna happen. Hell, Tyson Fury knew that when he fought Steve Cunningham years ago. He knew that. So
Oh yeah, and he was getting embarrassed at times
yeah, exactly. He knew that.
early in the fight before he started doing the leaning bullshit he does.
Right. But my point is that, I guess we can disagree on the durability thing. I just think that AJ doesn't have the durability. He doesn't have the chin to apply that type of pressure. That's just my opinion. If he could somehow pull it off, I'll be surprised. I'll give him full credit.
I think AJ has a very good chin. I think he
Okay.
has a very good chin. I think his issue is he doesn't like to be hit. So
Eh,
there's two different things that I look here. Okay, I don't consider how can I say this? I don't consider like being chinny and having a good chin to me are two different categories.
Okay.
Okay,
Hmm.
to me, having a good chin means that, or a bad chin, a glass jaw, you get hit, you go to sleep. That's it. Okay.
Right.
Being chinny to me is how you react when you're getting hit. And
Good
that's
point.
where AJ falls short. He likes to shell up like a turtle and he doesn't really do return fire.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know how to explain it because even like with the Ruiz fight, the first one, when he was getting unloaded on, he wasn't getting hurt. He was just getting unloaded on. Like he was eating on, taking on. He was there. You know what I'm saying? But he just kept a high guard until he fell down. Like
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So that's a good distinction there because when I saw him in the amateurs, man, he got clipped by the small heavyweight. I forgot the guy's name in the amateurs. He lost that fight by stoppage, but when he got clipped, I mean, it didn't look like he got hit very hard, but it's like with the way he reacted to the punch, he was like he just shelled up. I'm like, what? I was like,
and,
oh, yeah,
and that's why I think AJ is chinny, but I think he has a good chin. So I like for me, it's different. I don't rate chinny and having a good chin in the same category. I
fair
just
enough.
think
You know what? Yeah, to your point though, I kind of let me retract that a little bit. I think he is chinny, which means he doesn't have the best chin, but it's not the worst chin. Let's put it that way.
well, think about this.
Yeah,
He got plastered by Dillian White, ate it.
right,
He got dropped by Klitschko and got up. And
right,
Klitschko is arguably one of the hardest punchers, probably in the heavyweight division. I mean, you could rate him in there with the top guys
right,
for pure just one punch power. Like the dude had a jab like a piston.
right. Yeah,
So again, like I've seen him hit, and I've seen his chin hold. It's like I'll give you an example. Deontay Wilder, right?
yeah,
No, he's not chinny at all. Does he have the best chin? I don't know. But what I do know is he's not chinny because every time I've ever seen him hurt, whether it be Luis Ortiz or Tyson Fury, he's still trying to fight back.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Whereas AJ, if you hurt him, it's pretty much over. So, like, if AJ was to fight Deontay Wilder, right?
yeah,
If Deontay Wilder hurt AJ, the fight would be over because he would hit him with everything he could hit him with, and there would be no return fire coming from AJ.
yeah. So, in other words, it's more psychological than just being physically damaged. Correct.
I think it is psychological. I think he just doesn't like being hit, and I don't know how you get around that.
Right. You know what? It's kind of like me as a kid when I got hit when I was in fights. When I got hit as a bit, as a kid, I shelled up. I'll be honest, I did because it's like I didn't like getting hit. I was like I didn't know what to do after that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's not exactly have to do with being physically. Because me, I could take a punch. I
Yeah.
had as a kid, I had a good chin, but it's just like I shelled up, and it's like I didn't know what to do. So it's all so to your point though. I think what you're meaning mainly it's all mental. It's all psychological rather than just being physically hurt. You know what I
Right,
mean?
because like you said,
Yeah.
you didn't like to get hit, you shelled up. It's not like when you were getting hit, those shots were sleeping you. You know what I mean? You were
Right.
taking them, but you shelled up. Like you're like, oh no, I don't want to be hit. Your hands are guarding your face and you're just eating it. But
Right.
while you're eating it, you're not going down. You're still
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So clearly you have a chin that could take the damage that's being inflicted. The issue is you not wanting to return fire.
That's true. And he's had this problem for a very long time now. Even going back to the amateurs, he's had this problem.
Yeah,
So
I think it's just been now that he's fighting at the highest level, it's being more exposed.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's where we can agree. Good point. Me personally, I don't know, man. What do you think? Do you think that he needs to just forego the Usyk rematch and just focus on getting better, of taking on some, not saying low level fights, but some confidence build fights, so he could get his confidence back, and then he'd be ready to take on Usyk again? I think that's what he should do. What do you think?
I don't think any real champion would not go into a rematch.
Right.
If you duck a rematch to fight tune-ups, while it may be the smart thing to do, what you're saying makes all the logical sense, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's also the mentality factor of, are you truly a champion? Like, case in point, we'll come back to Deontay Wilder because, they kind of go hand in hand. When people talk about AJ, they talk about Wilder, right?
True. Yeah.
Even though Wilder got slept in the trilogy against Fury, right?
Right.
In the rematch, the second fight, the towel came in. He got beat up pretty
Right.
badly, right?
Right.
It didn't matter that he got beat up badly. He did everything he could to immediately get back in the ring, and it was Tyson Fury who drugged his feet. It was Tyson Fury that made it go to court, arbitrations. But Wilder had the mentality of a champion. It's like, no, you're not going to have this win over me. Whether it's smart for me to get back in there or not is irrelevant.
Right.
I'm the man. I'm going to beat you. The next time I see you, I'm going to fight you. To me, that is the mentality of a champion. So if AJ was not to take the rematch, I would say that his mentality for being a champion at the highest level is gone, and he might just need to retire with all the money he's made.
That's a fair point. And let me say this, I'm going to be consistent here. I said that Wilder shouldn't have gone back in there with Fury after that second fight. I'll be honest. I said it. I just think that he wasn't mentally ready. I don't think he'll be prepared. But before the delays happened, that's when he got more time to prepare. But I felt that, that's what I felt. But at the same time, just like AJ, if you owe the rematch, if you want to take it, then that's all for you. You're entitled to it. Just like AJ, he's entitled to his rematch. He has his right to invoke it. He has his right to go back in there. But yeah, you make a good point though. I do agree with that, but that's just me looking at it from a logical view. That,
Right,
hey,
and I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%. From a logical standpoint, it makes 100% chance. And like, give a case in point to that.
yeah,
Had Wilder not forced Fury to fight him, he very well may have been able to beat him in the trilogy if it would have came 2 or 3 fights later. Because if you look at the first couple of rounds, he was jabbing to the body. He was throwing straight shots. Like, we haven't seen Wild fight that technically clean,
right,
since maybe Stavern, the first fight.
right. That's true.
And if he would have had more time with Malik Scott and had a couple of cans put in front of him to perfect the skills that he had been working on, your logic may be true. But you got to understand, man, ain't nothing smart about fighting. And when you got that mentality, you're going to rush into the fire.
Right. And he almost knocked out Fury too. He almost knocked him out. He came close.
Not only did he almost knock him out, but it was from a shot that he didn't even wind up. They were in the clinch, and he just barely. I mean, the shot that he hit him with, the first one that dropped him, I wouldn't think that would hurt anybody. Like, they were literally chest to chest, and he kind of just bloop. And then you just see Fury, like, all of a sudden they come out the clinch, and this dude is just wobbling all over the place. Like, there's certain things with Wilder that tells me that the power that he supposedly has very well may be real, but I need to see him fight more top 10 fighters.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I know the talk about retirements come up.
Yeah.
I don't think Deontay should retire, man. He's got more to offer. He's got plenty of fights there. Whatnot. I don't think there's no such thing when it comes to him. Oh, some people are saying, well, he's got nothing left to prove. I was like, yeah, he does. He ain't fought the other top guys. I think he could come back from the Fury fight. Now the question is, how much did it take out of him? We don't know, but we can obviously believe and guess that it has taken something out of him. But we'll see. I think that to your point though, the skills that he learned from Lee Scott, they may prove to be beneficial. Once they get those warm up fights in. You know what I mean? I think they'll work.
And that's the thing. That's the thing about Wilder. To me, he's an enigma because he hasn't fought enough top 10 fighters for me personally to say whether I think he's good or bad. Like, I'm indecisive. Like I said, I'm very neutral when it comes to him because I really don't know how good or how bad he is. People can say he's not technically sound, and that's fine. That's cool. But you know what? When you hit somebody and the damn Thor's hammer drops on top of your head and you can't get back up, well, guess what? It doesn't matter if they look good knocking you out or look bad knocking you out. You got knocked out and they're better than you, period.
Right.
So with Wilder, it's just one of them things where I just want to see him fight more top guys to really see how good or how bad he actually is. That's I just pretty much repeated what I already said. Like it's just I need to see him in there with more top guys because you can't just beat a whole bunch of tomato cans and be considered the hardest puncher ever. Because I'll give you an example. Whenever I was younger, like a lot younger, I used to like UFC. I've kind of grown out of it. I don't really like it, don't really watch it. But there was a fighter named Rich Franklin, right?
Oh,
He could beat everybody in the division but Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
He could beat everybody. There's not one person in that division that he could not beat, but Anderson Silva, for whatever reason, had his number. It could be that Tyson Fury just has Deontay Wilder's number and he could beat everybody else. But the only way to find that out is if he does it.
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point. I think that's probably the that's probably the assumption right now, despite the flack that Wilder's getting, is that he could beat everybody else except for Fury, because Fury's the bigger man, much more skilled, better well, I say condition, better cardio, as you want to say, despite putting all that fat on, he still has better cardio. So and got durability. So I get what you're saying, man. But I think Deontay still got something left to prove. But he did put out a message on his Instagram and social media that with picture with Willie Scott, and I think they're gonna like I said, I think he's gonna. They got some fights coming up. I'm not sure against who. I think one of them is Andy Ruiz, but I think Trevor Bryan would be the fight that they should go after.
It'll be for a baby belt. And we know the PBC likes to call baby belts real belts because of Tank Davis.
I'll be consistent. I don't call that a baby. I don't call that a real belt. I don't give a damn who it is. Golovkin had it, but he wasn't the real champion for a while when he was running with that. Huh?
Well, my thing is this: how are you a champion at 140 if fucking Josh Taylor's undisputed?
I know that's well. You know what, Tank Davis. You know what? Look, I said this and I'll say it again. Floyd, Leonard, you guys can't protect Tank forever, man. After that Isaac Cruz fight, they understood the pressure now. Now you got Leonard Ellaby coming out there being the attack dog, but he's getting creamed all over the place.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem that I see. And I'm going to come back full circle. So just let me be long-winded for a second, okay?
No problem.
2022 is going to be a horrible year for Tank Davis because what's going to end up happening is Mario Barrios is going to fight a guy who hasn't been in the ring for 3 years and hasn't looked good since he's been playing the flute in Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is going to beat the living shit out of Mario Barrios. He's going to make Mario Barrios look like he never fought a day in his life, all right?
Yeah.
That's going to be strike number one. Strike number two is going to be Ryan Garcia is going to come back and knock out Isan Cruz within the first 6 rounds. He's going to lay him the fuck out, sleeping. Like, it's not even going to be competitive, I guarantee you. And then everybody's going to look at Tank like he's not what we thought he was. Now, here's the issue. Like you just said, they've been protecting Tank. When Tank first came onto the scene, his ceiling had no cap. But the problem is, and I love saying this, and I always say, I quote myself, when you constantly fight low opposition, eventually you become low opposition. And I believe that's what's happened to Tank.
Well, I think not just Tank, but all the PBC guys, because they're so used to the in-house fights for so many years, right? Where they get big checks, but not, and the opposition was viewed as being low risk, right?
Right.
So they're so used to that. But, given the situation with PBC now, which I have every reason to believe is true at this point, with their financial problems, it seems to me that these fighters who are so used to that bubble, right, as I call it, a bubble, they're so used to it. Now they realize that they got to fight outside that bubble. They're just like, they're not clamoring for the fights. They're acting a little erratic, I should say. And they just, like the Charlos, for example, they just don't like the idea that they have to fight somebody outside their bubble. They don't like it.
Well, Big Charlo, yes. Little Charlo, he did go for undisputed.
Well, that's true. That's true. I'll take Little Charlo out of the equation. Big Charlo, definitely. He's got an issue with that. It's like whenever somebody brings it up to his face, he gets pissed off and slamming feet. He slap the phone out of their hands and shit like that. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like a dude asked him a question about Canelo. What do you think about Canelo? He did not only answer the question, he gave him the middle finger and he slapped the phone out of his hand. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yo, I'm gonna tell you, man. Yeah. People pick the right people to do that too. Like And you know, like a lot of the boxers, they have like 20, 30 people around them, so they feel real brave. But I'm sorry, like I don't give a fuck like what champion you are. I'm not that tall. Well, I'm probably around the same height as him because he's not tall. What is he, 6 foot?
Yeah, just Jamal. Yeah, Jamal's like 5'11", 6 foot. Yeah.
Oh, we the same height, except I'm 235 pounds. Like I'm
Yeah.
telling you right now, like I would yoke that dude so fast you slap a phone out of my hand.
Well, first
I
of all,
don't
you
care
ain't
if
gonna
I
get away
get I
with
don't
that with
care if
me,
I
bro.
get jumped. Like your whole crew gonna stop me out, but before they do, I'm yoking you.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah,
shit.
like dude, you ain't getting away with that with me, bro. I'm too old. I'm
Nah,
about 210, so
I'll
like,
take them stomps because I know I'm not gonna be 20 to 30 entourage. But before I get stomped out, like I'm yoking you. Like they gonna at least see that you get slammed before I get slammed.
yeah. That's true. That's true. But you know what, though? I think yeah, Jamal's got he's pretty much you know, we talk about Earl Spence having the walls you know, cornering him. I think Jamal's being cornered too because you got the Canelo thing, you got the Andrade thing. Well, he kind of got away from the Andrade thing because the
Yeah.
WBC did refuse to order that fight. But he's got David Benavidez, so he's got a lot of pressure on him too to take all those big fights now.
Well, Benavidez, he would have to move up the fight.
Right, he's gonna lose that fight. I'll
But
be
he's
honest.
got
He
he's
yeah,
also got Jaime Munguia right there too, who just proved that he's legit in his last fight.
right. That's true. So he's got a
Yeah.
lot of pressure, man. He's got a lot. He's got the walls closing in on him. So he's getting upset now because he can't find another opponent where he could get a lot of money. It looks like it's a not a less riskier fight. So yeah, man. I mean, Tank. I mean, like I said, at this point, the PBC. I mean, will the bubble burst? For the looks of it, yeah. So it looks like they're all going to have to go find some other where to fight. They're going to have to go outside their comfort zone. They're going to have to find other promoters and managers to get out to get certain fights.
Well, the
Because it seems
thing
like
is,
Al's going to, you know, the PBC's a sinking ship at this point, man.
yeah, and the thing is, I mean, you're right. Like their biggest star is going to be Tank or Spence, right? And for
Right,
Spence, like you said, like where do you go? You have Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis, you've got Terrence Crawford, all right there. So after Ugas is out the way, where do you go?
right. Here's the thing. What's frustrating? There's rumors that he might move up to 154 after the Ugas fight.
But check this out. At 154, there's already an issue because by the time he gets there, right? Because you
Yeah,
got to understand, my top pick at 154 is Tim Tszyu. I think he's going to knock Charlo out. I think Charlo wins the rematch and becomes undisputed, but I don't
right.
think he can beat Tim Tszyu. I think Tim Tszyu sparks him. And what is Earl going to do going up against Tim Tszyu?
Oh yeah, I don't like that fight for Earl. I don't like it because Tim Tszyu looks big as hell to be at that weight class anyway. I'll just be. He looks big. He looks like. I mean, how much? I think he weighs in around 170, close to 175 at fight night.
Probably.
Yeah,
I
he looks
wouldn't be
huge to be at
surprised.
154.
And you see
Huge.
the power he packs with his shots,
Oh, just like his father used to do.
which is one of the fights that I wish I would have saw Mayweather fight against Costa Zoo.
Right. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Floyd decided to take the easy route and fight Arturo Gotti, who was the cash cow of that division at the time.
Yeah, but to me, Gotti was never a good fighter. He was just a guy. He was a Rocky style fighter. He just had a lot of heart. He could take an ass whooping and
Yeah.
keep coming. But as far as skills go, I don't think Gotti was ever that skilled of a boxer.
No, he wasn't the most skillful, but I'll give credit where credit's due. When Betty McGirt took the helms of training Gotti over the years, he kind of pretty much saved his career because he kind of took Stuart Gotti away from those bloodbaths for a long time. He
Right.
did. So I'll give him some credit there. But to your point though, yeah, he wasn't always the most skillful fighter. He was known to get hit a lot. He didn't have no defense to save his life. Let's be real. He didn't have defense.
Well, his
So
defense was his face. It was
that's
tough.
that's what it was. And Floyd knew that. Floyd knew he could beat the guy.
Yeah.
He knew that. And obviously it was a big money fight for him. I mean, it was a fight that he wanted at 150, at 140. He didn't want to fight anybody else, but Gotti. Then after he beat him, he went up to 147 right after that. So
And I like Floyd. I think Floyd is. I just there's so many things like Floyd could have been literally what he calls himself, the best ever. Like he could have been, but there's so many fights that he didn't take, and he was never undisputed. He never fought all the champions at any weight class he was in.
Right.
And I don't really blame the Manny taking so long because Manny was the one that said he was scared of needles, although he has tattoos. Which
Yeah, that's true. That was a big contradiction, but yeah.
like I don't understand how you're scared of needles, but you got tattoos. But I will say in Manny's defense, um, was it Morales that he fought that he got beat the first time?
Yeah, it was the first. Yeah, it was the first Morales fight. Yeah.
Right. So the reason Manny said that he didn't like having blood drawn was in the contract for Floyd. Supposedly before the fight, he was having to get his blood tested. Right. In
Right.
the first Morales fight, he said he had that happen, and they took too much blood. And when he was walking to the ring, he was dizzy, and that's why he lost the first fight.
Yeah, that and plus the gloves too. With with that with the first fight because Manny, Manny wasn't the he wasn't the A side, quote unquote. He wasn't the one dictating all the terms. It was Morales who was dictating the terms where he told him that he couldn't wear his Reyes gloves, the puncher's
Right.
gloves. So he told him that you got to wear these type of style gloves, and Manny argued that it handicapped his power against Morales, and that's why Morales was able to take his punches pretty well. So
Because
yeah,
where's the horsehair foam gloves? Like all
yeah,
horsehair gloves are hybrid. There's no true horsehair gloves anymore. They're all mixed with foam. But
right.
they are puncher's gloves.
Well, me personally, I think
Definitely
horsehair
agree.
gloves need to be banned. That's my opinion. They need to
Well,
go.
well, my opinion is if you're a good fighter, it shouldn't matter what your hands are in. You should
I
still be
agree.
able to win.
I agree. That's a good point. I agree with that. But some people felt that wearing certain gloves give them certain advantages. So that's all psychological.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I hear you, I feel you, but I don't know because in the amateurs, which I did too, you can only use one type of glove. Like, but I've been in gyms to where I've used Rival,
right,
Reyes, Everlast. Like I've sparred in all different types of gloves. I never had the proofing gloves that Fury has because they're like $350 a pair for the cheapest ones. But
right,
I've had multiple different brands, and from each brand, I've had multiple different styles, and I never felt like in sparring that a glove hampered me. I didn't, I hit hard with any glove I have my hand in. I didn't, I like Rival. Rival's my favorite brand. I can't say I don't have a preference,
right.
but I don't feel like it changed. It didn't change the way I threw a punch. It didn't change my timing. It didn't change my movements. Nothing changed, but maybe how quickly my knuckles ate through the padding. Like I don't
Right.
know. Like I think it's excuses.
It's possible. Yeah, I thought Manny was making like several excuses after that fight with the Morales fight. I mean, look, he cried after the decision was handed down to him. I know he fought his ass off, but he lost that fight. I'll be honest, he lost that fight and whatnot. But it is what it is on that situation with Floyd. Going back to Floyd, circling back with him. To your point though, he did avoid some of the most dangerous fights. He did. He admitted that he didn't want to get to a situation where he knew his career is going to be short. Like if he fought
Right.
Margarito, hand wraps or not, he did duck the Margarito fight. I don't give a damn what anybody said. He did. He ducked the
Paul
Margarito
Williams.
fight. He didn't fight Paul Williams. He didn't want that fight either for some reason. Kasazu obviously didn't take that fight. Wiki Wright. Oh yeah, people don't believe this. This actually did happen. Wiki Wright fight was supposed to happen, but Floyd backed out of that. Like I don't want to go there on that one.
I didn't know they were supposed to fight. Now that
Yeah.
would be interesting because Winky Wright had a defense that was amazing too.
Oh yeah. Southpaw. He could hit.
Yeah.
He could take a punch. Nah, bruh. Now here's the thing. He called out Wiki right after the Toro Gotti fight. And people are like, what? You called out a 160-pound fighter? The guy just moved up to 160 who beat Trinidad? Yeah. And guess what happened? Wiki responded to that and said, okay, let's fight. Then the fight was contracted at 154 initially. They agreed to it 154. Floyd comes back with the catchweight demand. Not a catchweight, a rehydration clause demand. where Wiki could not weigh no more than 8 pounds going into fight night, which he agreed to, and it was a 50-50 split. Then after Wiki agreed to the rehydration clause, Floyd comes back and says, and by the way, this is the negotiation process between Bob Arum and Gary Shaw, who was promoting Wiki right at the time. Bob Arum goes to Gary Shaw and tells Gary Shaw, hey, we gotta change the split. He said, what do you mean? We agreed to 50-50. No, Floyd wants 60-40. I'm like, what the fuck? Why does Floyd want 60-40? For what? What has he done? My guy just beat Trinidad and Shane Mosley. Why does Floyd deserve to get more of a higher split than Wiki? We initially agreed to 50-50. Why are you changing the split? So that's why that fight fell apart, because Floyd priced himself out knowing that he didn't want that Wiki Wright fight. No, he didn't want it.
That was way before the De La Hoya. So
yeah, way before De La Hoya.
He wasn't the cash cow yet.
Right. Floyd wasn't even a cash cow, but yeah, he comes back and says, okay, we want 50-50, which Wiki agreed to. Then he comes back with the rehydration clause demand. Wiki agreed to that. Then he comes back and says, I need a higher split. So he made 3 different demand changes into that, going into that fight negotiations. 3.
I mean, with that being said, even if Winky would have agreed to the 40%, it would have been another stipulation. It just sounds like, it's kind of what I wish Dillian White would do right now, getting back to the point of the video. Yeah. I just wish you'd accept the 20% and watch what the next roadblock is, because it just seems like how you described what Mayweather was doing to him. It would have just been moving the goalpost. That's all it was, until he won't agree to something.
Well, yeah, I think that's, that's why I was saying to Dillian, just take the 20%, or hell, take the 25% that they offered you. Take that and and call their bluff. If they say, nah, fuck that, they come up with another excuse to not take, to another roadblock, then you can say, fuck it. No, I'm out of here. I agree to every stipulation that you guys want me to do. Now you come back with this roadblock? Nah, we ain't playing that game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I agree to 2. I concede to 2 different demands, and yet you want to put another roadblock in the way. Nah.
I just want to see Fury get knocked out. Like,
hey, I want to see him get knocked out too, because it's long overdue.
Let me tell you, now I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like all the excuses that Wilder came up with. I don't like how he made it about race. Like, all that shit goes out the window whenever you step in between the ropes. There ain't no amount of fans and no amount of race baiters that can help you. It's you versus that person. Period.
Right.
So I don't like all of that after the fight. But when I was doing my live commentary, right, in the rematch, I wanted Tyson Fury to win. I wanted him to win. After I watched Tyson Fury repeatedly put Deontay Wilder in a headlock, and I know from boxing and being in gyms for a lot of years of my life, I was watching him choke Deontay Wilder time after time after time after time again. He kept doing it even after Wilder was already beat. Like, you could tell Wilder didn't really have anything left, right? But he continued to put his head down, put his forearm underneath his neck, and then he would lean on the back of Wilder's head, which causes your forearm to choke them. It's using the pressure of your weight against their head to choke them with your forearm right there under the neck. My whole energy changed to where I went probably 40% of the fight coming to its conclusion, I was cheering for Wilder. I was wanting Wilder to knock him out because of how dirty he was. Then I look back at past fights and I'm like, yo, this dude is a fucking dirty ass fighter. And I never really noticed it.
He is.
With Wilder.
He is. And let me just say this. I'll say this, though. I do respect him in some ways, but Tyson Fury is a fucking manipulator, dude. And I've said this to some of his, not saying his fanboys, but I've been saying this. It's like, look, man, this guy is not an instant guy when it comes to fights. Look at the shit that he's pulled in the past in the fights. With the McDermott fight, let's talk about that one. The John McDermott fight, not the first fight that many people felt he lost that fight, right? It got a gift decision. The second fight, when that fight came about, the controversy, which nobody talks about, John McDermott is the one who brought this up, right? John McDermott said that going into on fight night, right? They come back to him, John McDermott. The promoters or something came to him and told him that, hey, we're gonna have to let you know there's some change that there's a change that needs to be made in this fight. He said, well, what change is that? He said, well, your opponent, Tyson Fury, is going to wear a different set of gloves. It's like, for what? We never
Right.
agreed to that. Why the fuck did he get to change his gloves? If that's the case, if he's going to change his gloves, I need to do the same thing. He said, no, only he gets to change his gloves. Why does he need to change his gloves? And they couldn't give him a good answer, a straight answer. Why did he need to change his gloves for that fight?
Right.
But because, it's funny though, because subsequently, McDermott gets knocked out in the rematch.
Yeah.
He gets
Well,
knocked out.
that's one thing I don't think really know. Tyson Fury has stopped every fighter he's ever had a rematch with.
Right. That's true. He's done that. So it's kind of weird because, not saying weird, but it is a bit of a pattern because every rematch he has, he stops a fighter, but it probably goes back to the glove thing. Because I'm not saying he's manipulating his gloves. I'm not going to that. What John McDermott said, that this guy fucking changed his gloves despite the fact that we never agreed, even though we didn't agree to a certain set of gloves. You know what I mean? We
Right.
agreed to one set, then all of a sudden he gets the right to change his gloves and I don't. What the fuck is this?
I mean, I don't know. The thing about when gloves come up,
Yeah,
I just, from wearing boxing gloves, right?
yeah,
I don't, first off, with the egg weight, right, against
yeah,
Wilder in the rematch, I don't even know how that's possible. Like,
yeah,
I do not know how you could fit, because when I used to put my gloves on with all the gall wraps, right,
yeah,
I literally had to have a person on each side of my forearms to hold the gloves
right,
and me like put all my weight to even get them on my hand. Like that's how tight the professional, well, they were amateur gloves, but that's how tight the lace gloves are when you have the hand, all the gall wraps on, and you have a little bit of tape. Your wrist is taped, and
right,
then you slide your glove, and it's so tight that I don't even know how it's possible. Secondly, I don't know how it's possible that you could slide your hand out of the glove to put it in the wrist. Thirdly, if you did put your hand in the wrist, right,
right,
my concern would be this. You have so much tape around your wrist and gall wraps. It's purposely there to keep your wrist straight, right?
right,
So you don't break it. However, what I think of from boxing is if my fist is in the wrist, right? Then the whole poofy part of the glove is above me, okay?
right,
Now that flaps in the wind because there's nothing in there holding it, right?
right,
Well, it doesn't really flap. It stays pretty stiff until you hit something. Then it would pull back, right?
right,
Now here's the issue. If that top part pulls back behind your wrist, right? Then what you're doing is that whole top part of the glove pulling back is going to cause that tape that's taped to the glove to pull your wrist back when it's not meant to be pulled back because you have so much tape stabilizing it straight.
right.
I would think you could break your wrist doing something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I
All
mean,
it would take is one miss and the top of that glove to hit the target and pull back, and your wrist could break.
that's true.
Not to mention, if I'm hitting you, first off, I don't even know why I would hit you with my knuckles on the inside. But I mean, if I hit you hard enough, I could break all my knuckles.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I guess the whole goal of, obviously we all know if you want to manipulate gloves, you're trying to generate enough power to where it's at the knuckle area, you know what I mean? Where it's exposed and then, you have less padding. That's like the whole goal to that point. But I'm
But,
not saying that's what happened in McDermott's
but what
situation.
I'm saying is what I'm saying is if you ball up your fist right now, right?
Yeah,
Now, don't hold your fist like you're going to punch somebody because your thumb would be on top of your bottom knuckles, right?
right,
Your thumb is going to be to the side because the glove separates your thumb, right?
right,
So the inside of your palm that you're looking at, those are the knuckles that you would be hitting with. You can't hit with the top knuckles because you're taped.
right.
Like I don't know how you would hit with the top knuckles. Like if I'm going to fist fight you, I'm hitting with those top knuckles. But if I'm in a glove and I'm hitting you, it would have to be hitting with the wrist area
Yeah,
and those knuckles right there. If I hit hard that direction, you're going to break your knuckles.
right. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not saying it's not possible, but in my mind, having gloves, being taped, being in fights, I don't know how you could bend your wrist to get to the top knuckles to connect.
yeah. I don't know how you could do that either. That's why That's why I didn't want to, be on that, on that glove gate shit, man. I was like, dude, come on, man. We got to move on for that. The point is, Wilder lost that fight. He wasn't fully prepared. Let's be honest, he didn't fully prepare for that second fight. It was evident. He didn't. You know what I mean? That's on him. Not saying that Tyson Fury is not a manipulative guy, but that's no excuse to why Wilder lost that
Fury
fight.
definitely cheated with like the headlocks. Like I
Oh,
definitely.
yeah. Yeah, see, that's why I was pissed off about that, too, because I thought he'll be warned not to do that shit again, but he kept doing it. I'm like, what the fuck, man? It's like, hey, it's no excuse. That's probably why Wilder put on the weight that he did, because he knew that was coming. You know what I mean? He thought he could have some strength to out muscle Fury. To be fair, he did have a little bit more strength, but he sacrificed his endurance. He
Well,
gassed out.
he sacrifices endurance because whoever his strength and conditioning coach is a jackass because he put on all the weight from the waist up. It
Yeah,
was pure upper body weight. Like he gained 20 pounds in the chest and back. His arms, his forearms, his shoulders all looked around the same size. His chest and his back looked filled the fuck out. His
yeah.
legs still look like toothpicks.
Yeah, he needed to strengthen his legs so that way he could produce some balance. I think that's what
Right,
he should.
right.
That's what
And,
he should have done.
And if you want to produce strength to keep something leaning on you from wearing you down, you don't put it in your upper body, you put it in your fucking legs. Your legs is what's supporting all the weight.
I thought, here's the thing. I thought if I was Malik Scott, maybe Malik did tell him this. I was like, dude, you're not going to outmuscle Tyson Fury. He's stronger than you. You're not going to, there's nothing you can do about that. The only thing you can do is use your speed, use your endurance, use your quickness, use your athleticism. That's what got you where you're at right now.
Right.
Look at your first fight. Why do you think you performed better in that fight than you did the second fight? Because you had your speed, you had your endurance, you were a lot more lighter on your foot, and you were quick. You noticed in that first fight, I know Fury was boxing for the most part, but Fury wasn't really locking Fury. It couldn't tie up Wilder because Wilder was a little bit quicker on his feet.
Yeah, but Fury also was 20 some odd pounds lighter in that fight.
But he still had a 40-pound weight advantage. That's my point. He still
Well,
did.
yeah, but what I'm saying is he did have that weight advantage of 40 pounds, but really more than that, because I think Wilder said he actually weighed 209 when he stepped into the ring.
Right.
He said he got lighter after the weigh-in.
Okay, so yeah, roughly about 50 pounds.
Yeah, but the thing is Fury didn't do all that leaning shit. Like he purposely trained the way he did to do what he did in the second and third. See, I did a video of what Wilder needed to improve on, right? And my thought process was this. First off, and this is what I'm saying, where his strength and conditioning coach was trash. Okay, first off, you don't have to gain weight to become strong.
Right.
Okay, you can be strong for your weight and get strong at your current weight without even gaining weight.
Right.
Gaining weight comes down to diet and how you're lifting the weights. Okay,
Right.
So first and foremost, he could have stayed 215, where say maybe he's the best at, but you make him strong for 215. Where if he never worked out before, let's say he can only bench 185. Well, coming into that fight, maybe he cannot bench 315 at 215. You made him stronger, but he's still physically the same shape. He's just stronger. He's faster.
Right.
The second thing is you don't increase somebody's upper body without increasing their legs. Your legs is everything. That's all your stability, especially in a sport that relies on your balance.
Yeah.
You don't become a top to where, like, you ever seen a top? It has no balance unless you spin it, and that's what he became.
Yeah, you know what, dude? That's a good point because of that. First knockdown in the third round by Fury. Yes, Fury clipped him. He got him with a good uppercut. But I think for the most part, if you saw how Wilder got dropped, he tripped on his legs when he got hit with that shot. He got tripped.
He was too top heavy. Then the third thing is, after I saw the rematch going into the trilogy, what my suggestion was in my video, which I know he probably never saw, but what I would have done if I was training him is, first off, I would have got him stronger. Now I would have made sure that this dude can handle the weight of somebody 280 pounds leaning on him. So what I would have done is I would have done straight up sparring for 3 minutes, like I'm training for a fight, right? However, here's the difference. Where the 1 minute break comes in, oh, no. You're not going to sit down in that corner for a minute. What we're doing is we're going to go get a basketball player. We're going to get a WWE wrestler. We're going to get some random ass dude off the streets who's 6'9", 6'10", 280 plus pounds to wrestle with you for a minute at the end of every single round. So that way, when you get in there and this dude is wrestling with you, you don't get tired because you've been wrestling with guys that size for the last, I guess, by that time, year and a half.
Right. I think so too. If you're gonna, if you were trying to prepare for that, you should have got a 6'9" guy, not a boxer, but somebody who could wrestle.
Right, just to step in and wrestle with you for a minute at the end of every round. When you're the most exhausted at the end of each round, that's when you need to be wrestling. That's when you need your endurance of your muscular endurance to be pushed to its limits.
And
Not
that's
at the
funny. That's a
beginning,
good
but at
point.
the
Hey,
end.
Tony, that's a good point because if you think about it, and I know the wrestling scene too, pro wrestling and the indie wrestling scene, there's
Right,
plenty of guys who are 6'9" or 7 foot who can wrestle, who can grapple. They
right,
weigh 200, 240. I say let's say 260, 270. You could get plenty of guys in that circuit. You could find
yeah,
them, even in pro wrestling. They say, hey, can you come in here? Because we need to do some drills here. I need to get my guy prepared for a guy who weighs just as big as you. You know what I mean?
right.
Because
And
we
just
think he's gonna come in, he's gonna try to out wrestle my guy. You know what I'm saying? They'll do it. Here's the thing, these guys don't get paid much on an independent scene, so you can pay them anything.
right.
You
So
can.
I can tell you this too. Like,
Yeah.
so whenever I was boxing, right, and I was like legit every other night, I would run 10 miles with Tim's on,
Right.
legit in the sand, like straight down the beach for 10 miles every other night. Okay. I was in such good conditioning, such good shape, right? Now, during that time to where I would do round robins, which you probably know, but for anybody listening, I'll explain it. It's where you do one round with one person, then the very next round you spar somebody different. Then the very next round you spar somebody different. So every person you're sparring is fresh while you're getting tired. I
Right.
could do that for 20, 25 rounds with fresh bodies every single round altering in, right?
Right.
Alternating in. But the first time I went to an MMA gym and wrestled with somebody, I was tired within the first minute to 2 minutes, exhausted. And
Wow.
I could have boxed for hours. Like I would have never got tired. It's a different type of exhaustion. It's a different type of exercise. If you don't do it, you can't, you're not accustomed to it. You're going to get tired. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I come back, like you were saying, like go get a fucking college wrestler, a professional. Well, I don't think there is pro wrestlers in that. I think it's all like I don't want to say amateur. I don't know what the league is, but it's not professional. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
a
but
little
you could get a pro
wrestler.
wrestler. You could get a pro wrestler or an indie wrestler who weighs about the same size as Tyson
Yeah.
Fury, or if
And,
not a
and,
little bigger, if not a little bigger and taller. You could
and,
get them in there. Like I said, those guys don't get paid as much on that circuit. But
right.
if you can bring one of those two of those guys in and pay them whatever, they'll do it. They're
Oh
like,
yeah.
hey, they'll do it. Okay, if you're going to pay me to do these drills, okay, fine.
But
You know what I mean?
imagine if he would have found a guy who was say 6'8", say just a little bit shorter, but the same weight, 280, right?
Right.
Who he wrestled with for 12 rounds for a year and a half, at the end of every round for a minute. He would have never got tired against Fury. I don't even know if Fury would have been able to lean on him.
Right. I agree. That's a good point. But again, I mentioned this earlier, man. It goes back to the comfort zone type of thing. It's just his comfort level. He's used to doing things a certain way. And I warned about this too, as I do. You got to get out of your comfort zone, man. If you
Right.
really want to win this fight, you got to get out of your comfort zone. I think part of that to me believes that that's what kind of what happened, you know? So but to your point though, Fury doing all that leaning, all that shit, yeah, you get disqualified for that shit. I don't like that. I know it's a fight game. You gotta do something about that, but at the end of the day, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not.
Let me tell you, I would have told Wilder too, like, look, in the first, second round, whenever this asshole comes in to grab you, hit him as hard as you can in his fucking thigh, inner
I
thigh.
agree. I wish he did
Fight
that.
dirty. Fight dirty with him. Hit him in the thigh as hard as you can. Slow this dude down and make him not want to grab you. Get it.
Yeah, I
Take
would have
the
done that.
warning.
I
Take the
agree.
warning.
I would have done that. I would have hit him in the fucking nuts. So like, you ain't gonna grab me, motherfucker. Fuck that.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
mean,
gonna do that.
you're allotted a warning. They're not going to take a point away the first time you do it. They'll give you a warning. You just make it look like a mistake, even though you did it on purpose.
Right. Hit him in the thigh, hit him in the side so the referee couldn't see it.
But I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna get off. And I appreciate you letting me chop it up with you for so long.
No problem,
That is why I like Dillian White so much. The dude's a dog. Like if you do something dirty to him, he's gonna do the same thing to you, but double as much.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. And I know why people accuse Wilder for being a dirty fighter, but at least Wilder try to fight within the rules. That's his integrity that he has. You know what I mean? He
I
tries
don't.
to.
How is he
So,
dirty? How is he
huh?
dirty? How is Wilder a dirty fighter? I've
Well,
never
that
seen
he's
him
been
do
accused of
anything
being
dirty.
clubbing guys in the back of the head, and I keep telling guys like, no, he doesn't do that purposely. It's just when people try to duck out of his punches, it just lands there in the back of the head, not intentionally. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah. Like rabbit punches are illegal. However, if you turn your head away from the punch and you get hit in the back of your fucking head, well, that illegal punch is not legal.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been saying, and then Wilder's been accused of that in the past. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
no, I don't think. Even though I've seen him hit like Luis Ortiz behind the ear,
yeah,
it was like Luis Ortiz trying to smother the shot that caused the shot to fall, or it wouldn't fall short, but like go behind the shot where he was aiming. Like you
right.
could tell he was aiming for the side of the face. Luis Ortiz was falling forward and got hit in the back of the head. Well, you can't change the punch once it's already in the air.
I agree. I agree with that, man.
So yeah, I don't agree with that at all. It's just like as sloppy as Wilder gets whenever he hurts people, they try to move out the way and they get hit where they get hit.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying all along. That's another thing we can agree on there, man. But yeah, man, let me get off here too. Me and the
All right,
Tyson's
man.
about to come on too. Hey, but thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. We definitely got to keep chopping it up some more. Got to love these banners.
All
So good
right.
stuff. Good stuff,
Have a
man.
good night.
All right, you too, man. Peace. All right, guys, that wraps it up. I know we've been on here way too long. Shout out to the chat and the panel. Shout out to Aob, Scrapbook, Mr. Boxing Today, Shizbiz, McGregor, Unrival. He came in here momentarily. Shout out to him. Olev the Mighty. Yeah, I'm definitely buying. Well, I'm definitely watching the card tonight. So I'm not sure if I'm going to buy it, but we'll see. Big Boys Boxing. Shout out to Big Boys. Aob's Albania Boxer. Let's see what else we have. Michael Johnson Boxing Talking More. Shout out to Michael Johnson. I forgot you in there, pal. My dog. What else we got here? Boxing Lounge was in here momentary. Joe host. The Brotherhood. Shout out to the Brotherhood. And yeah, and Get the Smoke. Tony DGO. Tony Reviews, he was in here. So shout out to Tony Reviews, man. I really appreciate him for coming on. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the new year starting today and the fight that's coming on a little bit later, Ortiz versus Martin. I think that's going to be a very good card, despite the fact this is on pay-per-view. But yeah, other than that, guys, I'm out. Peace.